see, as soon as I change, it just changes, right? So now I will go live.
Cool. Do we have the second microphone? Hello and welcome to this final winner-takes-all T20 International, this two-match series between the UAE and USA from the ovals of the ICC Academy in Dubai. My name is Barney Reid, and once again I'll be on comms duty with some very special guests also jumping in alongside me to hopefully bring some real insight into cricket played in both the UAE and the USA. Yesterday we were left frustrated by rain and denied an outcome in an historic first official T20 International for the USA. By the time the umpires eventually knocked the game on its head, the USA were in charge. A superb knock of 72 from Stephen Taylor helped take the USA to 152 for 7 from their 15 rain-reduced overs, setting the UAE a revised 143 from 13 overs themselves. Then with the ball, the USA had reduced UAE to 29 for 2 midway through their fourth over before rain set in with finality, and we ended with abandonment just 9 balls short of the 5 overs required for a result. Thankfully the weather is a lot better here today. It's about 27 degrees, 50% humidity. It's a warm one here in Dubai, much more in keeping with the weather the USA would have expected when they took on this tour. And with the ball, the USA yesterday, Singh was the star, taking both wickets, starting with 2 for 18 from his 2 overs, while Manik Patel took an absolute screamer of a catch to remove Ashfaq at the top of the UAE innings, and it gave USA a memorable first ever T20 International wicket. If you missed that one, then do head over to @USA Cricket on Twitter and give it a look. It is well worth a view and well worth your time. Here in the second T20 International, we're about 15 minutes away from starting, and we've had the toss, just waiting on the official decision from that, but it looks like the UAE batting. I'll have more on that when we see the players come out. And in terms of teams, both are unchanged.
Is bowling first. Yes, he's bowling first. There's some problem with that, so let's oh, it is the names one, so it's okay for now. Just go to intro. Once it starts, it
Is that covered? Yeah. He seems a bit of a legend.
Sounds hard, right? window seat. Hello.
players now coming out to the middle. The UAE winning the toss and electing to bat first. USC will take the new ball. For the UAE again, Ashfaq Ahmed and Roma opening the batting. Both removed by Singh yesterday. His 2 for 18 from 2 overs. Absolutely superb, and including that superb catch from Manik Patel that removed Ashfaq Ahmed. USA captain Saurabh Netravalkar, the other man to share the new ball yesterday. 0 for 11 from 1.3 overs. But today it looks like we're having Elmore Hutchinson opening the bowling for the United States. Elmore Hutchinson, 6'6", built like a fridge. A hulking cricketer. Actually made his USA T20 debut here in Sharjah in 2012 against Uganda. Capable lower order batsman as well. Left arm fast medium bowler. He'll have the first crack at Ashfaq Ahmed. And worth reminding that the winner today will win the series. The USA in their historic first T20 International yesterday, and their first T20 International series coming to an end today here, looking for a memorable win against one of the more established associate members on the cricketing circuit. You're ready to go. Hutchinson now to bowl the first ball of the day. And wraps Ashfaq Ahmed on the pads. A big appeal from the States. No dice from the umpire. Very strong start from Elmore Hutchinson. Possibly pitching outside with him coming over the wicket, the left armour. Very encouraging start for the States. Hutchinson on the money from the off here. Hutchinson plays for the Caribbean Cricket Club in the Southern California Cricket Association. 36 years of age, an immensely popular figure in the USA cricket scene and in this USA squad. And he started superbly here. And a third dot ball in a row there for Hutchinson. The UAE yet to get off the mark. Halfway through this first over of the day. Hutchinson to Ashfaq again. Ashfaq on the pull. That's how he was dismissed yesterday. There's a man out there at deep backward square leg, and it's just the single, but the UAE are up and running. There's of course yesterday Ashfaq who fell to that superb Manik Patel catch. Ball was onto him quickly from Singh. He was on the pull, top edged it to mid wicket. Took a superb diving effort from Patel. There'll be a dismissal in the back of the USA Mines. That single brings Ryan Mustafa on strike for the first time today. Eases it in the leg side to be off the mark first ball. Mustafa back in the UAE side after suspension. Saw him miss those Nepal matches and 3 ODIs and 3 T20 Internationals. Looked a little ring rusty yesterday. 6 off 7 balls, played and missed a number of those deliveries. Ended up cleaned up by Jesse Singh, playing all around a straight one. A more confident start from the former UAE captain today, though. That one runs away for 4. Fine leg is up. It's leg buys. And the first boundary of the day, albeit not from the bat, ends the first over. UAE 6 for none. And it will be that man, Jesse Singh, who shares the new ball with Elmore Hutchinson. Very impressive yesterday. Bowling back for length, hitting the deck hard. Surprised a few of the UAE batsmen with his pace. He has a slow starter of a run-up. Gradually gets going and increases as he gets the delivery stride. He's a big, strong lad, strong in the action. Be hoping to pick up where he left off yesterday, as you said earlier, 2 for 18. Removing both the UAE openers. He bowls to Mustafa now. Ryan leaves it wide alone. Jesse Singh, born in Queens, New York. He plays for Smashers Cricket Club. Round the wicket this time, still no run. As Mustafa dabs it into the offside. Strong start from the USA here. Hitting their straps and picking up where they left off yesterday. Mustafa runs it down to third man. Bit of life in this pitch early on. That one got up. So Jesse Singh likes to hit the deck, bowling back for length, using his height for that extra bounce. Ashfaq on the pool, and it's a massive 6 over square leg. First 6 of the day. Superb shot from Ashfaq Ahmed. He's got all of that and then some. It's gone soaring over deep backward square leg. Hayden Walsh Jr. could only watch it sail over his head on the boundary. UAE up and running with some earnest now. Said that pull shot that ended up as his downfall yesterday, much more in control today in these early goings. That hit to the long boundary on this side, as closest to where we are sat talking to you from here today. It's a big hit. Comfortably cleared the ropes there. Fuller this time, and Ashfaq nicks off. Great catch. And he's given a roar from Jesse Singh to send him on his way. Cracking catch from Jaskaran Malhotra, the wicketkeeper for the USA, diving to his right, taking it probably where first slip would have been. Much fuller this time, and Ashfaq nicks off. And Ashfaq Ahmed great catch. And Ashfaq, after that superb shot for 6, the ball before, goes for 7 off 7 balls. 13 for 1, the UAE. 1 ball left in the second over. Brings Shayman Anwar to the crease. Very good from Jesse Singh. He'd been hitting the deck, going that shorter length. Pushes it forward. May have perhaps caught Ashfaq Ahmed by surprise, a fuller length. Feet weren't quite at the pitch of the ball. And he could only edge off, but what a stunning take that was from Malhotra. Been some superb fielding from the USA over the course of this day and a bit. Shayman, who yesterday got 18 not out before the rain came, looked in good touch, most so out of all of the UAE players. Dot ball to finish that second over. UAE 13 for 1. Jesse Singh again with the breakthrough for the USA. Elmore Hutchinson again to Rohan Mustafa. Rohan drives nicely through mid-on, and it's a single. Rohan looking a lot more solid today. Yesterday seemed to want to make a very big impression early on. Some big shots that just caught fresh air before he departed early, having lost the captaincy to Mohammed Naveed, and expect him to want to prove a point in this final T20 International. As the UAE pair scuttle through for a leg bye. Oh. Rohan flashing hard outside the off stump, given a little bit of room, a little bit of width from Elmore Hutchinson. Again, Rohan not quite near that one. The intent will always be there with Rohan Mustafa, though. Is to make the most of these first 6 overs of the power play. Goes hard at the ball. some sight when it comes off. Not the prettiest when it doesn't. Oh, he hangs a bat out of that one as well. He's walking off towards square leg to have a little word with himself. Hutchinson certainly winning the battle between the two currently. Oh, and again, Rohan just hanging that bat out to dry. Somewhat of a nothing shot. I feel like he's trying to work it down to third man, but without the conviction of doing so. Hutchinson testing him outside that off stump. Imagine it'll be something he'll stick to. Rohan neither here nor there so far in that channel outside the off peg. This time comes down the wicket, pulls to mid-on. It's that intent again from Rohan. Not quite executing it at the moment. 16 for 1 at the end of 3 overs. Another fine over from Elmore Hutchinson. Just gone for 4 from his 2 overs. Cracking start for the man known as the gentle giant amongst the USA team. Jesse Singh continues from the opposite end. Rohan's kept the strike after that single. The run-up not quite right for Jesse Singh there. The man back in the side after the USA's World Cricket League free runners-up position in Oman. Had a torrid time of a long-standing injury. Looks very fit though here, back in the team. On the money there. Rohan just leaves that one alone. Rohan drives through cover. He gets all of that. Fantastic shot on the up. Throws his hands through it like he did in the over previous. This time gets every bit of it. Offering that bit of width. Royal Mustafa cashes in. Piercing that offside field. May just be the boost to Rohan's confidence that he needs to hit the ground running here. How will Jesse Singh reply? Goes shorter. Rohan dabs it to the offside. Very well run single from the UAE pair. Brings Shaman Anwar onto strike, yet to get off the mark. Just faced the 2 balls. A late cut down to third man. We're obstructed a little by the sight screen here. We can safely assume that was just a single. Jesse Singh to Roma Mustafa. Rowan all of a sudden leaving more confidently outside off stump. Encourage the bowler though. Jesse Singh will be happy. Nipping back a little bit towards that off stump. He believed that was close. Mustafa down the track, can't beat mid-off. Single to end that 4th over. UAE 23 for 1. Shaman Anwar 1 not out. Rowan Mustafa 10 not out. And if you heard that uh-oh, that was from the man who will now join us here in the pitch side commentary desk, I suppose you can call it. Paul Radders Radley from the National newspaper out here in the UAE. There is no better man to talk UAE cricket, or more in the know, than Paul. Paul, how you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Barney. Thanks for that intro. It's unexpected, I must say.
Did it do you justice?
Well, it might have been a bit overboard, actually, but I'll take it.
So, Radders, you've been camping.
Yep, yeah, missed yesterday. First UAE game I've missed in quite a long while, actually, but it was worth it. See the rain falling on top of the 10.
Elmore Hutchinson to start this 5th over. Rohan going over the top, beats the infield. Couple of bounces, and it's 4. Again, the intent from Rohan. What have you made so far of the early exchanges here?
I've been impressed by USA. Must say, I think you described how well they had been, how tight they'd been, these two opening bowlers, against 2 players at the top of the order for the UAE that really do like to get on with it. So it's a real commendation to them that they've kept them so quiet all this time, even against bowlers that do keep a good tight line. Rohan Mustafa and Ashfaq Ahmed do like to and do usually find a way of getting the score moving. So yeah, real compliment to them, the slow scoring rate.
Mustafa goes again, the same area, over extra cover. He is one of those players, isn't he, Rads, that once he gets going, Rohan can be a juggernaut. It can be someone to stop.
Yeah, difficult to bowl to. I think that this, obviously, as we said, the opening exchanges were impressive by the USA's opening bowlers, I should say. But Rohan, if you look, this is often how he plays. He often actually goes like this a little bit quicker. Obviously, they've got 2 overs, just less than 2 overs left of the power play. So obviously, he's finding spaces out in the outfield that he's probably been eyeing up this, and he's probably been itching to get at all this time. And that's a shot of his that makes space and carve it over cover. And it looks like they've plugged that gap now, USA. So he's going to have to find a different area to score in. But he's got his 2 4s in this over, so shouldn't go too crazy. Looking to manufacture anything too funky, I wouldn't have thought.
Shouldn't go too crazy.
Famous last words, hey?
And he's going again. He beats the fielder again. 3 consecutive 4s for Mustafa, finding his feet. This time going through, well, in between mid-off and extra cover. So as you said, Rad, they've plugged that gap, but he's found a way through.
Yeah, it's good cricket though. He was in control of it, wasn't he? Even though
Absolutely.
it looks like a bit of a ungainly slap. It's one of his. Sorry, I shouldn't really say it's one of his shots, an ungainly slap. But he was in control of it, even though he'd got 2 fours off the previous 2 balls. It was obviously there for him to play that, so it's good cricket.
So what will Elmore Hutchinson's reply be? They're calling for 2. There's no man. It's a deep square leg, but he won't get round in time. It's 2. Very clever running, clever batting from the UAE. Paul, we looked at the UAE team earlier. It seems to take on a little bit of a different shape to what we're more used to.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, obviously it's exactly the same 11 as yesterday, but 4 differences to the previous match that they had against Nepal 6 weeks ago. Probably a response to that series actually, because UAE were. Well, if you lose a series 2-1, I don't suppose you can say you've been completely outplayed, but there were worrying signs for the UAE team, and it was a side, an 11 that, so just see Hutchinson bowl.
Just be a single.
Yeah, that was a UAE 11 that's been together a long time. Obviously, it had 3 big absentees, and you'd expect those 3 guys. I think you mentioned it on commentary earlier on. The 3 guys that were suspended, mainstays of the team. It was pretty clear they were going to come straight back into the 11 as soon as their suspension, which was an 8-week suspension, as soon as that lapsed, and they have come straight back in. But I think some of the guys that were in the UAE team for that Nepal series and had been in there for a while. They might be looking at a little bit of a spell on the sidelines for a while now. Think of Mohammed Usman and Ghulam Shabir, the wicket-keeper. He swapped for Abdul Shakur. So, yeah, I think this qualifies as a new-look UAE team at the moment.
It's not quite carried to third man. Sherman using the pace of the ball just to guide the ball over the top of gully area, nearly carried to third man. It's the end of the 5th over, 1 over left of the power play. UAE 39 for 1. It's amongst what has been under Dougie Brown a very good and encouraging spell for UAE cricket. It's the last few months the results haven't quite been there. They had the problems, as we've mentioned, with the guy suspended for comments on social media about that Asian Cup Emerging Nations tournament. Is this change, and as you said, a new look side, is this what's required in UAE cricket at the moment?
Well, they obviously feel that that's the case. There's been a few changes here and there. They lost a player last year, retired, or this year actually, earlier this year. He moved to the UK and he was a pretty important player, Adnan Mufti. That was a big change for them. He was an important sort of figure in the team. It wasn't necessarily a front and central like opening batsman or fast bowler. He's batted number 7 in the order, which gets forgotten about, but he served an important role, and he's also a very, very good sort of team man. So to lose him was a blow. So yeah, it's sort of in the throes of change, you'd say, this team anyway. I think the fact that there's been players dropped for this series is quite important, because it felt like for a while that team, all the players were pretty settled and set in their ways. So it's probably a message to all the players that you've got to be on your game, otherwise you will lose your place in this side.
USA captain Saurabh Netravalkar coming in to bowl, replacing Jesse Singh at the far end. That run down to third man that's been frequent today so far greets him with his first ball. And for the guys that have come into the team, what can you tell us about them? The likes of obviously Sultan Ahmed came in those Nepal games and impressed.
Sultan Ahmed, slow left arm spinner, a little bit different in the way that he bowls. He sort of rushes the ball onto the batsman, doesn't give anything away. He's very tight against Nepal. He was a real bonus actually in the series that they lost. CP Rizwan also played in that series. He's been retained. That was his debut series against Nepal. Didn't get massive scores. Looked like perhaps knew his game quite well. Was well equipped to perhaps step up. So they probably want to give him a little bit of a run in the side.
Netravalkar again. Rohan finds the gap on the onside, and that'll run away for 4. like Paul had said before, ungainly from the former UAE captain. But it's getting the job done at the minute. He moves on to 29 not out from 20 balls. All of a sudden looking a different player. One of the big ones as well that you said in that is Abdul Shakur coming in to keep.
Yeah, Abdul Shakur for
instead of
Ghulam. And that's a big change, actually, because that alters the sort of makeup of the side. Ghulam Shabir, who he's replaced, was sort of a figure in at the top of the order. That number 3 was his position, and Shakur wouldn't bat that high. So as a result, they've got to alter sort of the rest of the 11.
Rowan going down the track, misses out this time. It changes the dynamic of the batting lineup.
It means they've got to think a bit more about how they fit the bowlers and the batters in, because obviously if Ghulam takes a place in the top 6 that Shakur doesn't, Shakur will probably bat at 7. We haven't seen yet when he's going to come in, but likely he'll bat at 7. That means it alters the makeup of your bowling attack as well, really.
Good response this from Alka. And I said that bowling attack at the moment is very spin heavy today, and it was yesterday as well. Only Zahul Khan and Mohammed Naveed with as seam options, and then some bit part spin, and then also the frontline spinners of Ahmed Raza and Rowan, you could call as frontline spinner, I'm sure, as well, and Sultan Ahmed.
Yeah, so 3 spinners, 2 seamers.
Mustafa goes again, very hard through mid-on. It's a strong shot there.
A lot of bottom hand in that one.
A lot of bottom hand.
Even when he goes through the offside, there's a lot of bottom hand in it. It's like a off forehand you might have in tennis.
Are there any players in this side? I mean, we see Amir Haya, Imran Haider, Amjad Khan in the squad but missing out on the playing 11. Any of those you'd like to see squeezed in? Imran's obviously a fine player.
Yeah, well, they both are, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. Amir Haya and Imran Haider wouldn't be downed by any recent failings. They've been doing well.
Ryan cuts as a fielder out there. It'll just be a single. And at the end of the power play, the UAE are 49 for 1. Ashfaq Ahmed, the only man to depart so far. Jesse Singh again taking his wicket. As we saw in that Nepal series, there was obviously Sandeep Lamichhani from Nepal, the premier associate leg spinner, and someone like Imran going up against him and doing pretty well alongside him when the focus is obviously rightly on Sandeep as this new franchise breakout player. We do have a change of bowling. See spin for the first time, believe, or maybe a little bit of medium pace. Roy Silva, who had an exceptional cameo of the bat yesterday, bowled some leg spin. Played 87 first-class matches in Sri Lanka. Has some pedigree. Do you think someone like Imran will feel a bit hard done by to not be picked for these games?
Yeah, both him and Amir, like I said before, I think, yeah, they well, hard done by, probably. I think in Amir's case, I think it's a surprise they've only got two quicks, given that UAE have got a battery. This was always something that any other team would used to look at UAE and think totally spin dominated. They've changed that around quite a bit in recent years.
Roy Silva actually is bowling that little bit of medium pace. Got a little bit in his locker. Oh, and he gets through. Rohan on the drive. beats the inside edge, and that must have been very close.
Were they holding their heads thinking it was a nick, Barney?
Possibly.
Was it just because it's so close to the stumps?
Hard to tell from here where we don't have a replay. Around this time driving more confidently down the ground. Firmly in behind that one. A difficult one to briefly assess, but what's the current state of UAE cricket looking like here?
That's a broad question, Barney. You're going to have to narrow that down a bit.
Well, the sides, I mean, that Nepal series was obviously a disappointing defeat and a chance to really re-establish themselves as one of the premier associate teams. Is there any pressure on the team at the moment, the coaching staff and the players themselves?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd definitely say so. Shot.
Very clever shot. Shaman Anwar down on one knee, just helping it round the corner. Shaman, who you can safely say is a player that has frustrated you over the years.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. I think he needs to win more games on off his own back when he gets set, because he's such a talented player. I think if you look at his world ranking, he's actually in the World T20 rankings for T20 International batsman. He's above Virat Kohli in the standings. I was about to say that shows that obviously that shows that perhaps Virat Kohli's not played much just lately, but it shows he's got a lot to give. But with that in mind, he's a guy who should be winning matches for the UAE a lot more than he does. He's somebody who's very driven by those personal records. Mohammed Avid, the UAE captain as well, he'd be the same. He'd have exactly an idea of where he is in the world standing for bowlers.
Shaman, full toss, and it was in the air for a long time, but crucially in a gap. End of the 7th over, 55 for 1, the UAE. Fine rebuilding job so far from Roma Mustafa and Shaman Anwar after that early USA wicket. Is that a mindset thing?
Yeah. Sorry, just to say that's not a criticism of them at all. I think if players are have personal goals in mind like that, then often that's going to drive the team forward. But you have to be conscious of the fact that your essential job is to be winning games for the 11, for the team that you're representing, for the badge on your shirt. I'm not saying Shaman doesn't think that way. Just think there's got to be more of a closer balance between his personal his ability, basically his ability and the amount of times he takes the team across the winning line personally.
See another change in bowling. Timur Patel coming into the attack. That far end, replacing his captain. Timur plays for Vijayta Cricket Club under the auspices of Southern California Cricket Association. Played for India under-19s and 38 first-class games for Gujarat. He's also the USA's leading wicket-taker in that World Cricket League Free Championship, taking 11 wickets. A low propelled action, almost from his hip, from Patel. Shaman goes after him straight away. Clean hit, uses his feet, strikes it over mid-on. Handsome hit from Shaman Anwar. We saw yesterday Stephen Taylor for the West Indies showing that hitting ability to be able to go over the boundary and often, and hitting a lot of clean boundaries is something in associate cricket that isn't necessarily always a frequent thing, but in this UAE setup, who has that ability to go hard and high and long?
Clear the ropes.
Yeah.
These two, Mustafa and Shayman. There's a lot of shouting going on there from the fielders. Quite sure what's going on there. In this 11, Rami Shahzad, I have down as perhaps the leading batsman in this team.
He was practicing range hitting as I arrived earlier on today.
Did you have to duck?
Fortunately, it was the opposite end. He was hitting a long ball.
He does hit a long ball, but I think his primary. Well, the fact that he's a straight hitter, he's got a good technique as well, and he'll often be a guy that you see. Hopefully, perhaps not in the T20s, because you can become a bit undone if you follow this method. But in 50 over cricket, you'll often see that he'll have a very slow strike rate at the start of his innings, high dot ball percentage, and then he'll be happy to catch it up at the end. That's because he's got confidence in his six hitting ability. He can hit sixes wherever he sort of fancies. Really, he's very good goes straight over the side screens. That's Rami Shahzad. Other than that, in this lineup, Mohamed Bhutta has been in sort of on the fringes of the side. He came in for the Nepal series, showed up quite well in one innings in particular. He hits a long ball and he's sort of reliant on that because his running between the wickets isn't the best. In fact, that's probably a failing of a few players in this UAE side. Ashfaq at the top of the order, we didn't see it today. I suppose we saw it, but the ball before he got out, actually, he hit a long one over square leg, but he hits a long ball as well. He hits it miles, actually, when he comes off. And other than that, number 8 bowler, really, the leader of the bowling attack, Naveed. First ball 6 specialist. Absolutely loves it. He hits very long ball as well.
He's always someone to watch when he comes into bat, Mohamed Naveed. Yeah. The early stages of an innings, I don't remember too many players as eventful as him. Maybe someone like Misbah. Oh, Shaman goes again. He certainly got all of that. Goes over cow corner of another 6. Feel like he fancies a bit of Patel here. All of a sudden caught up to 22 not out. And there is some of that hitting. Going over mid-on and mid-wicket, is that a Shaman Anwar trait?
Yeah, he's got shots everywhere, to be honest. Maybe worth pointing out that this ground is slightly smaller. The UAE play most of their cricket on the field next door. There's 2 neighbouring ovals here at the ICC Academy. This match that has been played today has been played on the smaller of the 2, so clearing the boundary is not quite as tricky for the players as it is next door. So you might notice that the scores are slightly higher than you'd often see in matches that are played in the UAE.
We certainly saw that yesterday. The offside now, that shorter boundary over to the far side of us, targeted at every opportunity by the batsman yesterday. 8 overs in, the UAE 71 for 1. Shaman Anwar 23 not out. Roma Mustafa 36 not out. Going along nicely now, Paul.
Yeah, they picked up, haven't they? That impetus that Rohan got with the 3-4s in a row in that over. They've carried that on quite nicely, haven't they, really? And Whisper it, looking good at the moment.
Roy Silva will continue from this end. Oh, and a drop chance. Rohan cuts hard to point, but it's shelled. It was low, but it was straight at him. Should have been taken. Mustafa edges to third man. That runs away for 4. Instantly, the USA paying the price for that drop chance the ball before. A let-off for the UAE here. We've been talking a lot with Peter Della Penna from ESPN CricInfo about the combines that the states have had in terms of recruiting players. Here at grassroots level in the UAE, what kind of equivalents do we have to discover the new emerging talent?
Yeah, a little bit more ad hoc actually, things like that. Akib Jabba, Dougie Brown's predecessor as head coach, did stage a few talent hunts, as he called them. It seems like very much the thing. He's done it with Lahore Calendars, his PSL franchise now. Not with any great effect by the looks of things. They've finished bottom of the table 4 years running. Oh,
Shame Anwar, a lovely shot. Talk us through that, Radders.
Well, that is another sort of characteristic of Shaiman when he's on song. I mean, after that little pickups. It's not. You can't really call it a scoop shot actually, but it's like a proper, authentic sweep off seam bowlers. Basically, talent that he has is, and you know, there's no better talent for a batsman. It's just finding space in the field.
And he finds space again. This time through the offside.
That's a gorgeous shot, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the UAE all of a sudden motoring a little here. Shaiman Anwar moving on to 31. 84 for 1 off 9. To go back to that point about grassroots cricket here and the discoverability of talent, those talent hunts, have they continued?
No, so since then, that was, how long has Dougie been in charge for? Maybe coming up for 3 years. So since then they've had a more, basically they tried to formalise.
Rowan, a reverse sweep. That might have enough to go on it. Elmore Hutchinson in pursuit. Just about drags it in. He's done well to get that. Rowan Mustafa reverse sweeping.
Yeah, so they've had to, they've made the decision to try, and it's been a long time coming. They've been trying to do it for a while, and there's a bit of sort of friction here and there from the old guard, but they've tried to sort of restructure domestic cricket at the top level and make it less about A division. But basically, they tried to make more tournaments where all the best players are playing together against each other more frequently. Rather than just leaving it to sort of like potluck, really, in the past with A division cricket, corporate sides, where companies pick their employees really on the strength of their cricket, and hopefully a few good ones turn up. They're trying to change it a little bit now.
Ryan reverse sweeps again. This time a big appeals. He doesn't seem to get any bat on it. It'll be leg byes. And that formalising of the game at the grassroots level, is it far off? I mean, it's not an easy thing to carry out here.
No, it's taken a while. Yeah, it's taken a while to change, and there's still lots more to implement, I think. Another thing, just been reminded actually, ICC Academy coach Cass just walked past. Another thing we should mention really is at the very grassroots level,
just a single down the ground.
Junior coaching is becoming a lot more formalised, and the standard of facilities in this country is certainly the envy of any associate nation, I'd have thought, and probably the envy of a lot of full member nations as well. And that means young kids here have got perfect facilities to learn on. As a result, here at the ground we're using at the moment, you couldn't picture any better conditions for a young lad who's young boy or girl who's aspiring to play cricket. They'd have no better chance than they have here, really. So I think that if UAE, it's a problem that they've often had because of the socio-economic makeup of this country. When kids get to about 18. There's a loss of players between 18 and 21 years old. Players go and study abroad rather than stay here. I think the professionalisation of the game here and the standard of facilities that, as we can see at this ground and elsewhere as well in the country, if lads, sorry I've said that again, boys or girls I should say, are aspiring to a career in the game, hopefully it's going to reach a point where they can see they can have that here, rather than it being sort of at the behest of a cricket-loving employer. That's something that's hopefully going to, for UAE cricket anyways, bear fruit a bit more than it has done over the I suppose that process just sort of started in the past 2 years. I suppose the next 5 to 10 years we'll see how much success they're having with that.
Saurabh Netravalkar coming back into the attack, 90 for 1 at the midway point. 10 overs into this. Steal you for another over, Radders?
Not going anywhere, mate. I'll stay here.
And despite you being adamant of only mentioning lads,
sorry, that's awful.
The UAE women's team have had a big boost over the past few months.
They've really picked up, yeah. Just had their hearts broken in the qualifier. I think the Thailand side have been taking no prisoners really in Asian cricket over the recent past. And UAE have had a lot of games against them, so they knew that they had their work cut out to make it past the qualifier that they've just played in. But no, from where they were 10 years ago, they were an absolute shocker. Where they are now, it's much improved.
Shaman picks up. There's a man out there. They collect 2. Hit that cleanly. And what's been behind that improvement, especially in the women's game for the UAE? Greater monetary incentive, greater finances coming into the game, or
not so much. Well, I suppose from one perspective, yeah, the standard of the places where they get to play. Sorry, I just cut off here.
Shaman goes hard. There's a fielder out there on the point boundary. It'll just be 1.
There's a long way off being any money in it for the women players as yet. Hopefully that'll be something that does come to pass further down the line. But in terms of the fact that they can come here and they're not just forgotten about now. They're not just left to their own devices. They can come here and use the facilities at the ICC Academy and get treated in much the same way as any representative player of the UAE male sides can have, and that makes a real difference. Makes them feel that they're part of the same vision and the same project. And that's a lot of what their improvement has been down to.
Good stuff from Netravalkar in his return. Just the 3 runs from the first 4 balls of this over. That again was something that picked up with a nationwide talent hunt as well.
I'm not sure about that, but I do know that when the male talent hunt, when the talent hunt happened, that Akib Javed had up here. I think there was as many as 1,000 people came along for it, and there was one girl involved in that, even though it's mostly a male talent hunt. Yeah, and that just goes to show the passion there is for the game here. I remember coming up to cover that talent hunt, and I live at the bottom of Hesse Street, which is just the road that the ground is on here. And there were three blokes walking up from the metro station at the bottom of that road. And that's the best part of 15 kilometres. And they had their cricket bats and they're walking up. I don't think they realised quite how far it was, actually. So I did
drive straight by them.
No, I did turn around and go back and pick them up. It's not an easy thing to do at that time of night, but I did. And I don't think they got in, despite my help, despite my saving them 15 kilometres.
And they had a man in the know.
Sort of.
94 for 1 now, the UAE. 11 overs in. Roma Stafford 45 not out. Approaching a half century. For the US, Jesse Singh, that first wicket, the first and only wicket, 1 for 14 from 2 overs. Alka coming back in there. He's gone for 14 from his 2. And Elmore Hutchinson was superb at the start. Just gone for 20 from his first 3 overs. At just over 6. As Patel continues, and that's out. Roma Stafford sweeping across the line. Plumb in front. And the USA have their second wicket. Superb at the start. They've just cursed Mustafa there by saying he's approaching his half century. Just goes for 46. As Patel continues, and that's out. Roma Stafford sweeping across. 46 from 37 balls. Fine knock. He'll bring Rami Shahzad to the crease. Rami's another one of those players coming back into the side after missing the Nepal games. Just got it slightly wrong there, Radders.
Yeah, big hoik across the line, wasn't it? It's probably a justifiable shot, I'd say, but just missed it, really. Always an issue.
Cricket's a simple game at times.
See ball, but make sure you hit ball. Brings Ramiz to the wicket. So he's got a point to prove. He just in yesterday, was he?
Absolutely. Just came in at the tail end. 1 not out, I believe. Just faced 2 balls. As the rain was pelting down at us at that point in time. Ramiz driving straight to cover there. Good player against spin, Rami Shahzad.
Yep, good player against most bowling, really. Yeah, he does this at the start. He's very watchful. Depends how long he stays like us, but he hasn't really got time for it. 9 overs, or less than 9 overs left.
Instantly goes down the track. One of his favourite shots to use his feet and hit straight and hit hard.
Told you. Watchful.
Just getting his eye in.
Yeah, 2 balls. Now he's in.
A confident start, though, from Rami Shahzad. It's exactly the shot he was practicing, his range hitting earlier today. Well, Paul, thank you very much for joining us. Last ball now. Do you want to talk us through it?
No, you carry on, mate.
And a single to end the over. Thank you very much, Paul Radley, for joining us from the National UAE cricketing expert.
Pleasure, Barnes. Might catch you later on, second innings.
Excellent. Yes, please. So the end of the 12th over, UAE 98 for 2. Important wicket there for the USA to remove Roma Mustafa. Shaman Anwar still there, 36 not out. Rami Shazad now 5 not out. And coming into Paul Radley's place will be ESPN Cricinfo reporter Peter Della Penna. Once we check the mics are working. Peter, great to see you.
Pleasure again, Barney.
What have you made of the USA today so far? 12 overs in.
They were looking good fairly early, and then Rohan Mustafa decided to wake up and bash about 4 straight between cover and mid-off. And that's put USA behind a little bit from where they were. UAE's edged in front here at the start of the 13th over, and being on the ground with small boundaries, I think 180, 190 is definitely within reach as they head into the last 7+ overs.
Absolutely, and the US first up, Elmore Hutchinson especially, is very impressive. Kept it very tight at the top of that UAE innings. Jesse Singh again contributing with a wicket. As Shaman goes through extra cover, just a single as a man out there on the boundary.
Timmel had a nice bounce back there with the wicket of Mustafa as well. Those early slog sweeps that Shaman had to get those 2 sixes in the 8th over. Timmel's style against that kind of batsman is something that is worth keeping an eye on because he bowls quite slowly through the air. So against a higher class batsman, is that too much time for them to come down the pitch or just to get set and play that kind of shot? Versus, say, a Rashid Khan style leg spinner who's much, much zippier through the air, and you can't really come down the pitch and use your feet and do all those kinds of things.
Absolutely. Entices a game of cat and mouse between bowler and batsman. And it was certainly something that Shaman looked to do, is use his feet. Ramis in that over as well, coming down the track. Just a single out to mid-wicket.
And also on those 2 sixes that he hit, he was hitting to the big boundary. Again, that short boundary is to the western side. Timmel's bowling from the southern side, so he's got the big boundary to the right-hand batsman if they're trying to swing to the leg side, and yet still Shaman was undeterred.
Just another single. 5 singles off this over so far. Alka on the back of that wicket in the previous over from Patel, helping to rein the UAE in a little bit.
One of the things he does well is he bowls cutters and he mixes up his paces quite well to keep batsmen off balance, and you're seeing that a bit in this over.
Shaman goes over the top, over long on. That'll go all the way. Just right, stayed back in his crease and hit straight over long on. Great way for the UAE to end the over. Move to 110 for 2. 7 overs left. Shaman Anwar 44 not out with that 6.
Now, as we saw yesterday, again, that's that short boundary where the right-handers are swinging to the leg side with Alka bowling from the northern end, the pavilion end. And if you get your length fractionally wrong, Roy Silva did it yesterday. Now Shaman here, it's going to disappear. Doesn't take much to clear that rope on that side of the ground.
It's certainly posing an interesting dynamic to this game. that shorter boundary being targeted by both sides. As Ramesh Shahzad cuts through extra cover.
Timo with that wicket in the previous over for him, extending his lead. He's USA's all-time leading wicket taker in T20 cricket.
Oh. Is it gone all the way? Shaman Anwar again, another 6. It moves to 50. 50 from 26 balls. And again, just staying deep in his crease. Hitting straight over long on. It's been a superb innings from Shaman Anwar. It's been highly impressive today, Peter.
And again, he's just feasting on the leg spinner here.
And he goes again. And goes hard and goes for 6 once more.
Timo's got to do something here to either mix up his pace, try and dart in a little bit quicker ball, or go the opposite way and just give it a lot of extra flight, because right now he's locked in. Shaman is on that kind of same pace, fullish length. The pitch is true. It's not offering a lot of assistance, so he's just driving straight through the line down the ground.
And Shaman just lining him up now. 3 6s in a row. And all very much the same. As Peter mentions, Patel is looping it up, keeping it in Shaman's arc. And he just goes hard and high and long over mid-on.
He tried to tease him there a little bit. There was a slightly more flight on that last ball, but it was too full.
Absolutely.
On that length. He didn't really challenge him. He didn't force him to either challenge him by coming down the pitch or force him to get onto the back foot. He's just planting that front foot, and again, just hitting straight through the line. No effort whatsoever. He's a very, very graceful batsman, Shaman is.
Contrasting to Rohan Mustafa at times. Paul Radley described as ungainly when he was on comms just before. And this time, Shaman leaves wide alone.
And that's a better ball. A bit flatter, so he went a bit quicker through the air and then just dragged it wider outside off stump. You can't plant that front foot and try and drag it a leg without possible top edge on that kind of delivery.
Shaman goes again. This time it's caught at long on. Shaman can't beat the man for a 4th time in the over, and Patel has his man. Shaman Anwar goes for 62.
Roy Silva out there at long on the boundary. Safe hands.
Little top edge.
Didn't have to put much effort into it, but
Shaman goes again.
it was a
this time it's
slightly better ball from Timo, dragging the
Shaman
length back. He wasn't able to just reach out and scoop it over on a forward delivery. The length was fractionally pulled back. Had to almost, in a sense, check his shot slightly. Didn't get the elevation. And Roy Silva about 3 yards inside the rope. Chest height, easy as they come. And another wicket for Timo. He's, as I said, USA's leading wicket taker in T20 cricket now. Officially, this is just their 2nd T20 International. But avid USA cricket fans would know they've been playing T20 cricket since 2010. And he's right at the top of the list. He takes about 2 wickets per match. His strike rate is absolutely phenomenal for USA and T20 cricket in particular. And on a leg spinner, I can get the words out, can get it right. They offer a lot of value. And 1 leg spinner at the southern end. Now we're going to get another leg spinner here at the pavilion end.
Absolutely.
Hayden Walsh.
And the new batsman, Mohammed Bhutta, for the UAE. To put you on the spot, how many wickets has Patel got for the USA in T20s now?
I want to say it's up to 37. I was looking at my database before the match. I believe he had 35 coming into the day, and he's added 2 more to that now.
Oh, and first ball, Hayden Walsh removes Ramesh Shahzad. As you see, far quicker version of a leg spinner than Then Patel at the other end skids through. Shahzad misses everything. It's bold.
And he's added 2 more to that now.
Oh, trying to ball. Hayden Walsh takes off stump. Removes Ramiz Shahzad.
And I think that's also a product of the way Timmel was pulling at the other end. They might have been thinking, oh, this one's going to sit up there, hang up there. A big loopy delivery based on how Timmel's bowling from the one end. And then Hayden Walsh, first ball, just zips it straight through. That quicker style been talking about at kind of what Rashid Khan, Sandeep Lamachani, those guys do a bit quicker through the air. And he's waiting on the back foot. Shahzad ready to launch it, and it just skids right through under the pull shot.
Absolutely. A complete clash of styles between the 2 leg spinners in the USA side. CP Rizwan will now walk out, and all of a sudden, after the UAE were going so well, Roma Stafford and Shayman Anwar, there's 2 new men at the crease. And they're 129 for 4. We have Bhutta and Rizwan. 5.5 overs to go. The UAE have just hauled themselves back into the game here. An excellent period of cricket from the USA with the ball, Peter.
Well, again, if Shaman was out there to the end, yeah, UAE was looking at 180, 190. Be a bit trickier now with 2 new guys in.
Great start here from Hayden Walsh. That one, again, he's quicker through the air. That one was fuller.
Just check the database again. My memory is A-OK. 37 wickets right now for Timmel Patel in this his 23rd T20 match for USA.
All of a sudden, the USA have their backs up, right back in the game. It seemed to be drifting away from them for a little while. Ooh. Rizwan driving hard, gets an outside edge, beats short third man and runs away for 4. Eases some of the pressure for the UAE, but far from convincing a shot.
No, if I'm Hayden Walsh, I'm not too discouraged by that. Beats the edge. Just unlucky that went a bit wide of the keeper. No slip in place, obviously, with big start here for UAE.
And a single ends the over. Fine introduction from Hayden Walsh. This goes for 7 and takes that important wicket of Ramiz Shahzad as well. UAE 136 for 4 now from 15. It's the nature of T20 cricket, isn't it, Peter? All of a sudden the complexion of the game has completely shifted.
Depends on what happens here in the later spell for Jesse Singh, as he's going to come on for his 3rd over the day. 1 for 14 in his previous spell. Got the wicket of Ashfaq Ahmed in the 2nd over with a clever piece of bowling. The previous ball was pulled for 6 over square leg. They had set a trap. Hayden Walsh was out there waiting for the catch. He bounced him, going for that long boundary, and it just barely cleared Hayden Walsh. And then he followed up next ball, went a bit forward, went a bit wider, draw him into the drive, got the edge, well taken by Malhotra. He's now got 3 wickets across the 2 games, and he's looking for more.
And he has, oh no, it's dropped. Chance.
Timmel Patel, the man at extra cover.
Driven straight at him by CP Rizwan and shelled. Nearly the perfect return for Jesse Singh.
And that was a straightforward chance for Timmel's standards. Right there at chest height. He got his hands handcuffed a little
Patel,
bit.
the man at extra cover,
undecided
Driven
whether to go
straight at him.
fingers pointing to
CP
the ground
Rizwan.
or fingers to the sky. And he went fingers to the ground, and his hands became hard. He got kind of tucked into his chest a little bit, and that's what caused the drop. And now Jesse goes short again, pulled wide of long on for a boundary. So UAE on a roll right here, taking advantage of that missed opportunity on the previous ball.
And it's the second time it's happened today where a drop catch has been followed up by a boundary. For the USA, who have fielded so well over these past 2 days as well, to drop two pretty straightforward chances today is disappointing.
Xavier Marshall was the culprit the first time around at point, and now Timmel. Hayden Walsh typically would be the guy at point in most situations, but he's been roving around in a few different positions, kind of on the boundary as their best fielder. Kind of, you want to get him in catching positions, and that first opportunity, Xavier Marshall, ideally you would like Hayden Walsh in that position.
The UAE scamper through for a single.
And that's why Hayden Walsh right there, almost creating a run-out chance, attacking the ball. He's very dangerous in that backward point region. Very athletic wherever he is on the field, in addition to his bowling skills. And as we saw yesterday at the death, his batting skills too. He's just a total package for USA.
Is he the standout fielder in this USA side? Oh. Buta gets all of that hike across the line, but pures it over mid-wicket. It's a player that Paul Radley was mentioning earlier on, has a long hit in him. You see that on display just there. Mohamed Buta heaving the ball over mid-wicket.
Not a bad idea by Jesse Singh. He was going for the slower ball there. He just got the length fractionally wrong, and Buta skilled enough to keep his hands back, even though his leg was out in front of the ball, kept his hands back and was able to yank it over that mid-wicket boundary.
And he follows it up with a 4, clipping it off his leg superbly. There's no man out, a deep backward square leg. A poor end to the over, really, for Jesse Singh there. He was full and on-leg stump, not where you want to be there.
Well, it could have started with a wicket, ends with 17 runs in the over. Big momentum swing there for the UAE. 153 for 4 after 16 overs. Getting back to your question about Hayden Walsh, he's, at the moment, hands down to me, the best fielder in the USA side. Whether that's speed to the ball on the ground, which I think is a very underrated aspect of a lot of fielders. His foot speed to the ball is incredible. His catching is very sharp. There's a lot to like about him. And I'd say the other guy who's kind of up there.
Again, beats the field, but this one should be cut off. It's not. It runs away for 4. CP Rizwan in on the act now. The UAE all of a sudden gaining some momentum at the back end of this innings after excellent spell from the USA that seemed to rein them in. As you're saying, Peter, about the USA side in the field.
Tush Kenjige is probably 1A if Hayden Walsh is number 1 in terms of fielding. Kenjige was on as a sub fielder earlier. He's not in the 11 today, but he's equally sharp. Key thing to watch on that previous delivery as Walsh beats the outside edge there. Manik Patel was the guy giving chase as the point sweeper, and he was off the field earlier. He needed some treatment. He's had some lower back issues in the past.
Hayden Walsh has his man. Rizwan sweeping, missing everything, goes for 12. UAE now 5 down, 157.
And he was off the field earlier. He needed some treatment.
Is that a long-standing injury that Manik Patel's had, or is it something he's picked up over the last couple of days?
He's had kind of a recurring
Hayden
issue.
Walsh has his man.
Spent
Rizwan
time off the field here and there in Oman, and you wonder for a guy as young as he is, he's only in his mid-20s, having back issues that early, you wonder how that's going to affect him long term. I don't think it was anything serious today, but still, it's something to keep an eye on. And Walsh, though, again, that quicker delivery follows up what was short of a length ball. Got the length fractionally wrong the previous delivery for Rizwan to glide it behind point. Next ball gets a touch fuller, and that's what produced the wicket.
Walsh now has 2 for 11. Midway through his second over. Just be a single there. Mohammed Naveed, the man who me and Paul Radley were talking about earlier on, is a one to watch early on. He loves a first ball 6, doesn't quite get it there, but he will go hard and early. Where do you see the remaining overs coming from the US bowlers, Peter? Free to go after this Hayden Walsh over?
Well, Saurabh Netravalkar is going to go bowl at least 1, and Jesse Singh, I would say, he's going to bowl 1 as well. As Naveed just barely clears Walsh there, again showing off his athleticism. That last over may be a bit tricky. I would nominate Roy Silva. Elmore Hutchinson has bowled 3. His first 2 overs were excellent, but traditionally he's not been a very good death bowler. And so when USA gets him in there, they like to run through his overs earlier rather than later, so they don't get into that bind later in the innings where if he's got overs left, you get him in a situation where it's advantageous to the other team because he's not the best Yorker bowler, especially for somebody at that height.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult to get the Yorkers in compared to, say, Ali Khan, who's maybe about 7 or 8 inches shorter, a bit skiddier.
Skiddier, yes, absolutely.
So
a lower action.
Exactly. So Netravalkar is definitely going to bowl his 4th here. None for 25 and 3 overs at the moment. Jesse Singh has got 1 left. And I would put my money on Roy Silva, but you never know.
Naveed again throwing everything at it. Only gets a single down to long off.
It's also possible they keep Hayden Walsh on because he's shown in the past he's quite good at the death for a leg spinner, and he's already taken 2 wickets. So there's no harm in him having a 3rd over at a time when guys are going to be looking to attack him and come down the pitch and do aggressive things that can create wickets.
And speaking of wickets, Bhutta chips it up high in the air and is safely taken at long off. Safe pair of hands. Is that Roy Silva again?
That is Stephen Taylor.
Stephen Taylor. Very safe pair of hands.
Aggressive things that can create wickets.
And the UAE lose their 6th
speaking
wicket.
of
wickets, 161
Bhutta chips
on the
it up
scorecard. High in the air and is safely taken at long off.
That's what I was talking about a bit earlier. Those changes of pace, those cutters that Netravalkar bowls, succeeds right there with one. Got a cutter that was on that in-between length, good to full, and just miscued it, hung up in the air. Stephen Taylor, excellent catching fielder for USA, and that's why he's out there at long off. The former captain, and he's got big hands. He's got bucket hands, which helps. He's not going to put one of those down.
Well, that was a superb catch there. Never looked in doubt. Moved around very confidently from a wider mid-off to a straighter one. Made no mistake. It's Ahmed Raza who comes to the crease. A former UAE captain himself. Batsman did cross though. Naveed will be on strike. It's that slower ball again from Alka. Something that we criticised the UAE over yesterday when Naveed had the full treatment from Roy Silva. Was guilty of bowling a bit too one pace. Alka here really using every trick in his book, those slower balls. A very skillful bowler, Peter.
He's got that experience coming through the India under-19 system. Just gets the length slightly wrong there, but Raza can't take advantage of it. It's better to go make a mistake too full there than turn it into a full toss than put it kind of in the slot on that full length. So that's okay. Valker won't mind that.
Gone for just 3 in this over, taken a wicket as well. 1 ball left in this, the 18th over. And that's again very clever bowling from Valker. Slower ball, completely fools the UAE captain Naveed. Using his feet to come down the wicket, doesn't read it, top edges it. Valker just moves around, hustles Ahmed Raza out the way and takes a easy catch in the end. What a fine over that is. Just gone for 3 and taken 2 wickets. Some fine deft bowling there, Peter.
And you hope it didn't come at a cause. He took a tumble there after taking the catch, and he's clutching his left knee at the moment after getting the big scalp of the captain. But again, as you said, those changes of pace, another slower ball, keeping the UAE batsman off balance. And that is another wicket for Valker, who in his brief, very brief, USA career, 8 T20 matches after making his T20 debut last September in North Carolina. And believe it or not, that is just his 4th wicket. He struggled a bit in North Carolina against competition that wasn't necessarily the best, playing Belize and Panama, not exactly the top of the tree in terms of T20 cricket rankings. But he was spending that tournament really focusing on getting his lengths and fine-tuning everything ahead of the Division III tournament in Oman. Here he's got a bit more focus on bowling T20 lengths in this match, and it's giving him rewards.
He was superb in that over. As we see, Hayden Walsh Jr. does continue to bowl this, the penultimate over of the innings. UAE 164 for 7 with 11 balls to go. And here's Abdul Shakur, the wicketkeeper, who's the new man in. Pats back his first ball for a dot ball. Very good here, the death from the USA.
Again, he's quick, flat through the air. At this stage, not giving him time to charge down the pitch and target that short boundary, yanking to the western side for the right-hander.
And again, just a single. The UAE being denied some late firepower by some superb USA bowling. 8 balls to go. Ahmed Raza drives, but he's denied a second. Elmore Hutchinson does superbly to get round and cut it off and just keep it to the single. What will the USA be happy to chase here, Peter? Abdul Shakur scoops the delivery over his shoulder, beating short third man and running away for a much needed 4. Takes UAE to 170 for 7. 6 balls to go in this one. the first innings of this final winner-takes-all T20 International of the series. As said, Peter, what will the USA be happy chasing here?
Well, if you think about how they batted yesterday, I think anything under 200, the way Stephen Taylor was at the crease yesterday, is within reach. But UAE has that experience that USA is not faced this kind of competition too often, this class of competition. I think the key factor is going to be how Mohammad Naveed bowls compared to yesterday. He was obviously way off the mark yesterday. You don't see too many days like that from him, especially at the death. And if they can get one of the openers out early and then have a crack at Stephen Taylor while the ball is still fresh, that'll be pivotal for the UAE as they look to defend what looks like it could be anywhere between 180 and 185, depending on how Jesse Singh finishes off the 20th over.
Absolutely, and either way, I think we're going to be in for a thrilling run chase. But as it is, 1 over to go, Ahmed Raza on strike. Jesse Singh to bowl this, the final over of the UAE innings. And Raza goes hard down the ground and goes all the way. 6 straight over the bowler's head. Lovely shot from Ahmed Raza. The tall, slow left armour for the UAE.
That was not a bad ball by Jesse Singh. He cramped him for room. Raza tried to take kind of a step away from the stumps. Jesse followed him to the leg side, and yet he still was able to get under it and drive it straight down the ground. Roy Silva fielding quite wide at long on, so he had no chance to cut that off.
Raza this time goes to long off. Just a single. Instantly, that's 6 from the UAE. A major boost to their final total. A runner ball takes them beyond 180. Another 6 and they'll be close to that 185 that you mentioned, Peter, if they can get another couple of boundaries here. As it stands, Abdul Shakur, UAE wicketkeeper, on strike. 4 balls remaining. Jesse Singh goes short. Shakur on the hook. Didn't know too much about that. Gets a single to fine leg. Good change-up from Jesse Singh there.
Oh, Shakur looked caught off guard by that one. And he almost produced a wicket there. Saurabh Netravalkar, he had that kind of slight knee injury, taking the catch off his bowling 2 overs ago. And not sure if that affected him there, because when it came off the bat, it looked like it was going to loop straight up to fine leg where Netravalkar was fielding, but he was a bit slow reacting, and that may have affected his ability to close in and possibly create a catching opportunity there.
Raza goes hard down the ground again, this time be cut off. Stephen Taylor again down there at long off. Keeps it just to 1. Almost on cue when you mentioned Netravalkar's knee, he went and felt for it. Nearly on cue.
You got to sell it. You got to sell it. He's still kind of favoring, that right knee, just kind of flexing it here and there in between deliveries. Hope it's nothing too serious.
Shakur, just a single down to long on. UAE moved to 180 for 7. 1 ball remaining in this the first innings of this final T20 International.
Well, that first ball by Jesse again, it was a good ball, but Ahmed Raza just one-upped him to create the space to get it straight down the ground. But continuing through the rest of the over, his lengths have been spot on, keeping it very, very full in the block hole, not giving them any room to really get underneath it, get that elevation. He had that 1 short ball to Shakur, but keeping them off balance, struggling to get the ball away here, and this is a good finish here by Jesse Singh.
Absolutely, just 4 singles off of those next 4 balls after the 6. And Raza goes out to long on. Oh, incoming fielder just misses out. UAE end up running 2.
Timil Patel again, put down to catch earlier at extra cover in the circle. He looked like he got a pretty decent jump on the ball. There wasn't as much elevation for him to have the time to create a chance. It looked like it just short hopped him. I don't think it's fair to really call that a chance. Looks like it, despite his diving effort, just crept underneath his hands. But he's still got enough on it off the short hop to prevent it from going for 4. So they just take 2 off that final ball. UAE end on 182 for 7. Pretty good effort after a slow first couple of overs. Rohan Mustafa and Shayman Anwar doing the bulk of the damage.
Absolutely. Rohan with 45 off 38. Shayman Anwar 62 off 30. The USA then fought back in the middle orders, and Ahmed Raza's 13 off 7 balls at the end there may well prove decisive. Some impetus towards the back end of the UAE innings. As for the US, Elmore Hutchinson was superb first up, went for 20 off his 3 overs. Jesse Singh again, who took 2 for 18 yesterday, has 1 for 43 from his 4, went a little bit further today. Sorab Netra of Alka, absolutely brilliant at the death, and ends up with 2 for 28. Timil Patel again, another 2 for 45, and Hayden Walsh Jr., excellent. Those quick leg spinners, taking 2 for 21 to end that innings. So as it is, the US will come back requiring 183 for victory to win this T20 International series. Peter, thank you very much for joining us for that end of the first innings. We'll take a slight break and then we'll be back for what promises to be an exciting USA run chase here at the ICC Academy in Dubai. USA batsman, coming out to the crease now. A change at the top of the order. As Peter Della Penna had mentioned yesterday, Manik Patel has dropped down the order in favour of Xavier Marshall. He now retains his spot, or regains his spot at the top of the order, alongside Jaskaran Malhotra. Mohamed Naveed will open up with the ball for the UAE. 183 the target for the US. Malhotra yesterday looked in fine nick with his 28 off 22. She had that 70-run partnership with Stephen Taylor for the second wicket. And it took a stunning catch from Sultan Ahmed to remove him. In good nick, the stylish opener. And this time Manik Patel will join him at the crease to kick off proceedings. And it will be Malhotra who takes the first ball. Naveed running in. And it's good first up. Naveed yesterday struggled to find his mark with those Yorkers that he normally is so routine for the UAE captain. On the money here from the off though. An encouraging start for the man who yesterday, bowling the penultimate over of what was the USA's innings, was dispatched for 3 consecutive sixes by Roy Silver. Oh, and this time Malhotra trying to pull. Naveed beats the bat. Once again for the start of this innings, joined by the Nationals sports reporter, UAE cricket maestro Paul Radley. Paul?
Yes, Barnes.
Do you make of that UAE innings in the end? It was...
I think they left a few runs out there.
It was very up and down. It was peaks and troughs of an innings.
Yeah, there was one point where they were definitely probably eyeing up 200. What was it, 182 in the end? If they'd have had a few more overs of Shaiman and Rohan Mustafa, they'd have definitely got a big score.
Do you think they're 15, 20 runs short here in the end?
Well, time will tell, won't it? Sorry, but I need to straight back that one. But it's difficult because you can see that USA's innings could go a similar way to the UAE one. If someone bats through, it's definitely chaseable. 182, it seems like a big score, but it's definitely chaseable, I'd say. 183 to win.
Absolutely, USA very much in this. As Malhotra just dabs it into the offside. It's a hallmark of the USA's innings yesterday. Superb between the wickets. Constantly looking to rotate the strike and put the pressure back on the UAE bowlers. That brings Manik Patel on strike. Again, regaining his place at the top of the order. Naveed here, Paul, he's a talisman of the UAE side with the ball. They'll be looking to him to lead the way here, get some early wickets, are they not?
Yeah, real wholehearted cricketer, Naveed. Very, very good player to watch. He's got a lot on his shoulders here in this innings, I think.
Manik Patel pulls that from outside off stump into the leg side to get off the mark. Mananku plays his cricket for Freedom Cricket Club in a cricket league of New Jersey, back home in the States. Do you believe the UAE at times could be over-reliant on Naveed?
In this attack they could. If the spinners don't work out, they definitely could.
Oh, Malhotra going down the track. Just about gets it over the point fielder. Ahmed Raza running backwards. Again, like Roma Stafford earlier for the UAE, some early intent from Malhotra to go over the infield make use of this 6-over power play. The end of that first over, the USA 4 without loss. And like we had discussed earlier, Paul, it's with just 2 seamers in the side for the UAE. A bit of a worry.
Bit of pressure, yeah. Amir Hayat is the guy that probably will feel most hard done by being left out. Is the other quick bowler he probably matches. Perhaps maybe not quite as Mohamed Naveed, but maybe matches him for pace. He's a quick bowler. Looked like we were watching him before the game, weren't we? Looked like the coaches behind the wicket were had the baseball mitt on, and he looked like he was trying to send a message to them. Don't drop me again. The speed he was bowling in warm-ups. But yeah, just looking at the USA innings, the UAE batsman lined up the spinners a couple of times. Shyman in particular, 3 sixes in 1 over. Shortish straight boundary that way. Defending 182. Could be a big ask.
Absolutely. Sultan Ahmed opening the bowling like he did yesterday, but from the opposite end that he did yesterday, where he took 1 for 26 from 3 overs. Ooh, it's a wide, but some fine work there from Abdul Shakur down the leg side. Sultan Ahmed, Paul, can you give us a little bit of insight into him as a cricketer and his UAE past?
Well, he came into the side. Sorry, just let him bowl here. Came into the side a year or 2 ago against Papua New Guinea. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying he might have bowled a maiden in his first over in T20I cricket, and he looked like he's got a different sort of style. He's very different to Ahmed Raza, the other left-arm spinner, and he goes quite low when he bowls and doesn't get a huge amount of bounce, which often you can find working a bowler's favour actually in this format of the game. Ahmed Raza far taller. He doesn't get a huge amount of bounce actually himself, bearing in mind how tall he is. But often, as you're growing up, you're often told if you're a spin bowler that a bit of bounce in the wicket is a good thing. But it seems like Sultan aims for the opposite.
It's cut off well. Cover Roma Staffer.
Something I'm not sure if you had a chance to pick up on this yesterday, Barney, with your duties as on commentary here, but Rohan Mustafa's demeanour in the field, is it altered much now that he's not the captain? It's an interesting dynamic that I'm looking out for today, actually, to see. Obviously, he's had the captaincy taken away from him after suspension. Naveed is captain now. Is there any difference that you've noticed?
The one surprise I found with Rohan yesterday, so at the end of the second over, 7 without loss to the USA. Fine over from Sultan Ahmed there. Rohan seemed to be keeping out of a lot of the conversations between the think tank. It was Ahmed Raza and Mohamed Naveed who were coming together a lot more. Just a very interesting dynamic in this UAE side now, though, with essentially what could well be a power shift.
Yeah, Naveed was at pains to say that there's no difference between them, no difference between the dynamic in the team now that he's got the captaincy instead of Rohan. He says they're very close as mates.
Malhotra just dabs it again into the offside, rotating the strike once more.
So it's interesting what you said, that Rohan's staying out of it. Well, he was very, I don't know if dogmatic's the right word, but he was very much the driver when he was the captain. He'd make a lot of decisions. I actually remember in Namibia last year, World Cricket League Division 2, him and Naveed having a stand-up row on the field. and as Naveed said, they're still very close, best of mates, even more or less wild-out arguments happening. Rohan would always back his decisions.
The And that'll run away for 4 leg buys. Naveed, 4 off the bat, in fact. Naveed missing the mark, sliding down the leg side. Full toss. Tucked away from Manik Patel.
Yeah, just further on that point, I think Rohan would have been more confident in making decisions unilaterally. I wouldn't be surprised if Naveed captains a little bit more by committee out of the two of them. But I'd have thought Rohan would feature in that committee. So it's a surprise that you said that that didn't seem to be the case yesterday.
Lovely shot, just to mid off for 1 though. Be something very interesting to see unfold in this game and beyond with the UAE. Just how those two operate together. As we were discussing earlier, official word now, Naveed is continuing.
So, yeah. He's been appointed for this series, so he's the man in possession of the armband. Yeah, so just to recap those three players, Rohan Mustafa, Ahmed Raza and Ramesh Shahzad were banned for 8 weeks, all coming back for this series for the first time. In actual fact, just looking at the field out there, that is far better for the UAE just from a fielding perspective. They're all in a line there at point, backward point and extra cover.
The lovely shot down the ground. Malhotra using his feet to Naveed, driving straight past the UAE captain, all the way along the deck for 4. Very confident looking stroke.
A lovely shot.
What's your understanding, or how much have you seen the USA over the years?
Haven't seen a huge amount, and the last time I did see them here was so far gone that UAE and USA teams would be totally different. One guy, I don't know if you've spoken about it or if Peter spoke about it on commentary before. Ali Khan obviously is the most renowned player beyond the USA. What's the reason he's not featuring? Did Peter say?
Well, Peter was alluding to a hamstring injury that Ali Khan has had, but there's been no official word from the USA team on his absence. But it seems like just keeping him fresh, by the sounds of it. Someone that obviously all eyes are on at the moment. A very exciting player to watch in the associate
it's pity
world.
not to see him. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, add him to that USA bowling attack, and it's a very good-looking attack from what we've seen so far. Over
balance.
This. Absolutely.
A bit of everything in there.
Oh, playing a miss. One of the powerhouses of associate cricket lost their last 2 series, and those ODIs and T20s against Nepal. They won't want to lose a third on the bounce, especially all of them being on home soil. I think the pressure is on them as hosts. And a single to finish. Oh no, sorry, 1 ball left after that wide earlier on. Sultan Ahmed's gone for 6 so far in this over. Somewhat cautious approach from the USA so far.
But it's panning out quite similar to what UAE did actually.
Oh, and some fine work, Abdul Shakur. It's a wide, but Sultan Ahmed picks up the wicket of Manik Patel, coming down the wicket, but just misses it down the leg side. And Abdul Shakur, tidy work from the UAE keeper.
You say he missed one like that yesterday?
He did, yeah. He's, again, very similar. It's down the leg side. Ended up going for 5 wides in the end. This time he's moved his feet very quickly down the leg side, collected it nicely. Bails are off in a flash. Abdul Shakur as we come into this side in the place of Ghulam Shabir. Is he someone who's impressed you?
Shakur? I've seen him play a few times in domestic cricket over here, and I was impressed, I must say. He even batted at the top of the order in that, so I'm surprised he only comes in so low. I think, what was it, number 9 he came in today?
Yeah.
Perhaps that might have been how the innings panned out. I think 7 would be the highest he'd come in. But yeah, his wicket-keeping, I think that's probably, if you were being basic about the differences between him and Ghulam Shabir, who he's replaced. Ghulam Shabir bats in the top 3. Wicket-keeping certainly wouldn't be as quicksilver as that we just saw from Shakur. That looked very good.
Brings to the crease Stephen Taylor, who yesterday was so superb. 72 off 39, 9 4s and 3 6s. He shared a 70-run stand with Jaskaran Malhotra, who is at the other end again here. USA, 25 for 1. 1 ball to go in this 4th over.
And he marks his guard Chanderpaul style, which we appreciate.
Always welcome on a cricket pitch. Bail out, tapped into the wicket. And he hit the ball so cleanly yesterday. Right from the off in the swing of things here. 4 overs in, 26 for 1 the USA. Stephen Taylor, born in Florida, plays for the Sheffield Cricket Club, the New York Metropolitan Cricket League. An enormous talent, an enormous figure as well. He's a big lad.
He's broad, yeah, surprised by that.
Taylor will now face up against Naveed. As we see, Jaskaran Malhotra on 13. Manik Patel went for 8. The only wicket to fall so far. Something that was a hallmark of Taylor's innings yesterday is timing the ball impeccably, and it flies off that bat of his. Even there, where he's just pushed it to cover, but it's raced to the fielder.
UAE fielders are very keyed in. They realise this is a crucial moment of the game.
And a good start from Naveed. 2 dot balls.
Imagine that's why he's kept himself on, actually, to have a go at Taylor while he's new.
It's something that Peter mentioned earlier on, that something the UAE would be hoping to do is get an early breakthrough, to get an early look at Stephen Taylor. You do feel like this could be a very important passage of play in this USA run chase. And it could make for fascinating viewing over these next few overs. Taylor drives down the ground. Straight to mid-off though, it's just 1.
Naveed not happy about that, just
not
being
happy.
1. Or being 1, I should say, not just being 1. I don't want it to go for any more, sorry about that.
I don't know what more the fielder could have really done
Well,
there.
it could have been closer, I think.
Yeah, possibly. He's right on the edge of the 30-yard circle, that is true.
It's a failing of UAE cricket, or they're just not natural fielders. I was just saying before, the 3 guys that have come back into the side just improves their fielding immeasurably. It was a big difference, probably one of the deciding factors in the Nepal series, the fact they lost it. I was talking to Dougie Brown, the UAE coach, about it the other day, and unprompted, he just let Naveed bowl here. Unprompted, Dougie Brown was saying that he described Nepal's fielding in that series as staggering, which I don't think is hyperbole at all. I think they're just absolutely brilliant young fielding team. All the match winners in that series were sort of teenagers, really. I think the youngest, Rohit Paul, was 15, I think, still. May have turned 16. UAE, it's always something that they've got different strength. Fielding wouldn't be natural fielders. Not saying they don't get drilled as much as any other team. the fielding, but they're just not naturals in general. But the 3 guys that came back into the side, Remy, Shazad, Rohan, Mustafa and Ahmed Raza, are all good fielders.
It's good stuff from Mohammed Naveed here. He's just gone from 1 from this over. As we mentioned earlier on, he's with just the 2 seamers in the attack, him bowling a 3rd over here.
Doesn't leave you much, does it? They've got
really
5
doesn't.
overs of pace now for the rest of the, and even the part-time bowlers are all spinners. You've got Shyman to bowl some leg spin if they need it, or Ashfaq to bowl some off spin. They've got very limited options.
Is it just Bhuta, medium pace?
Does that qualify? yeah, Bhuta as well, I suppose.
He holds the seam upwards.
Yep. Yeah.
But far from lightning quick.
No.
It does make for an interesting prospect for the rest of this UAE innings and how they manage their bowlers.
He's not going to get another ball at Taylor here. So.
No. Have to make this count. Jaskaran Malhotra on strike. Just UAE slightly moving their deep fielder on the leg side round to square leg. Bumper. Could it be a trap? No, it's full and it's heaved. And it goes for 4. Disappointing end to Naveed. Naveed's over there. He sees body language a little bit down after being hit for 4 on that final ball. Malhotra just heaving it to the leg side. Mid-wicket boundary. And USA 32 for 1 after 5. 1 over left in this power play. And it looks like Zahor Khan will come into the attack, the other seam bowler, who yesterday, Paul, I was describing as having possibly the longest arms in international cricket.
He's got long arms. We noticed that in the last series, didn't we?
Enormously long levers.
Yeah, very long wingspan.
He was very good at the death yesterday, Zahor.
He's got box tricks.
Showed a bit more guile than Naveed. Slower ball bouncers.
Yeah.
Hitting Yorkers more regularly than Naveed ended up doing.
So I think that's one of the reasons actually he slipped out of their 50 over side, because he's got so many variations, but he tends to run through all of them rather than bowl to perhaps a bit more of a consistent plan when you know earlier in the innings. It'll be interesting to see what he does here, because he's got, like we said, Taylor on strike.
Taylor drives upish. It's in the air for a little while. Carries safely to point though in the end. CP Rizwan completing the fielding.
Can be fast. He's got a lot of slower balls, but his stop ball can be very fast. Sahor. Probably up there with Naveed pace as well.
5 balls left in this power play. You'd be backing Taylor to throw his arms at a few here. Ooh. Pulls, but inside edge onto his pads. Wasn't quite there to pull, was it?
No. I think he was looking for any chance to have a go at that one by the looks of things. Don't know whether he's only got 3. You said he was in good nick yesterday.
Absolutely stunning form yesterday.
Perhaps he's itching to get going again.
Malhotra now on strike, 17 not out. Again, he started well yesterday. 17 off 16 with 2 4s so far. Zahor Khan comes in again. Malhotra drives. Can't quite beat that infield at the moment, the USA. Good start from the UAE.
Yeah, they've maintained that. They've maintained the breaks just a little bit longer than USA managed in the power play. I think so far so good. They'd be very happy with this UAE at the moment.
Malhotra beats the fielder this time. Lovely late cut. Opening the face, using the pace of the ball. There's a short third man and a deep gully there on the 30-yard circle. But he beats both of them. He's used the pace superbly there. Good reply from Zahor Khan. Likewise, Paul, to give us a bit of info on the UAE boys and some background to them. Zahor Khan, what's his pedigree in this side?
He's been in the side for quite a while now, and he came in with a splash when he first arrived in the team. Within one of his very first matches, he picked up the best ever bowling figures by a UAE bowler in a one-day international, just on that neighbouring field, just over the way there against Ireland. And I remember William Porterfield saying he was surprised by his pace. Good shot.
Oh, it's clipped to the leg side. There's a fielder there, and he hangs on beautifully.
Ahmed Raza.
What a catch, Ahmed Raza.
He's a man you want under those.
Jasker and Malhotra clipping it to the leg side. He caught it well, but that long boundary, he's not caught enough of it. He'll have to head back of 21. Zahor Khan picking up the wicket at the last ball of the power play. Ahmed Raza, as you were saying, Paul, making a good case for himself as one of the better fielders in this UAE side.
I got a feeling that might have held up in the wind, actually. He probably, when he struck it, he might have thought that that's clearing the fielder. And in the end, Ahmed Raza had to make good ground to come in and come forward and catch it. I think there's a strong breeze now going across the ground, and that might have counted against the batsman there.
He did a fine job of collecting it. Malhotra taking his time to walk off the pitch. He's obviously frustrated with that. Again, he's got a start. Yesterday made 28, again today 23. .37 for 2 at the end of that power play. Xavier Marshall comes to the crease. He opened yesterday, moved down the order to make room for Manik Patel. He'll join Stephen Taylor. And Ahmed Raza, who took that fine catch just there, comes into the attack. Another player, Paul's intrinsically linked with this UAE side for a number of years now.
Yep, a previous captain, occasional captain. Him and Naveed got their arms around each other there. That was very close. Yeah, like I think you said before, Naveed would have a lot of conversations with him about tactics and game plan, not even just while one or the other is bowling. Ahmed's a very knowledgeable cricketer, a real deep thinker on the game. Got a real deep feeling for the team as well and the country. I think UAE are often talked about as being a team full of expats. That it's just perhaps there's a little bit of ignorance of the actual social conditions over here. Ahmed, I suppose, is seen as an expat, even though he's born in Sharjah, lived his whole life here, has a Pakistani passport, but has a stronger feeling for the country and the team as anybody would.
Absolutely, and it's something that USA cricket is often looked at in the same sort of manner. A lot of players from Caribbean and the Indian subcontinent heritage in their family, but someone like Stephen Taylor, again, born in
Florida.
Florida. And people around the associate game or outside of the associate game maybe, don't quite realise the backgrounds of these players and just how much they are linked to the countries they represent. Xavier Marshall flicks it down to fine leg. It'd be 2. He's someone who possibly contrasts that. Former West Indian international.
Yeah. I remember back in the Mr. Time, him being I think he was only 14 actually, playing an under-16 World Cup final in England at Lord's against Pakistan. Just looked like the next big thing of world cricket. Intriguing to see him here now in this guise.
It's funny you mentioned that game earlier on. I didn't remember it. I was at that game as well.
You were at that game?
I won a
And you
competition
don't remember it?
in the Fun Day Times where I sent in my own one-day kit of the team that I played for at the time, Earl Stoke Cricket Club in Wiltshire, United Kingdom. It was an all-pink affair, which in this world of your county side, Middlesex, wearing pink, it's not uncommon now, but then it was.
You caught the eye.
Caught the eye, definitely. Only got 3rd place though, but it got me tickets to that final.
Even though you didn't remember you didn't remember that game at all.
I don't remember. All I remember is the ambidextrous bowler for Pakistan. I can't remember his name.
Whoa, I do not remember that.
That was all I remembered from it. A while ago now. Xavier Marshall just pushes it down to long off. And at the time, you were saying earlier on, at the time he was considered one of the next big things in
he was, I suppose,
West Indian cricket.
You know, promised at that sort of age, especially with a platform like that, where you don't really get that now, quite at that young an age. Games like that aren't televised, and I think obviously that can be a very heavy burden to bear, and whether obviously he didn't deliver quite on the promise that a lot of people thought he had at that time, but he's only a 14-year-old kid, and you're only having a small snapshot of what he had, and obviously it was glorious. Like his fielding, I remember, being brilliant, and he had that swagger. I think he's one of the first people I saw wear the cap on back to front underneath the helmet. Just had a real good style about him. No, it's interesting to see him here, in, like I said, in this guise.
Yeah, it was West Indies Youth Cricketer of the Year in 2005. Now 32.
Went back and looked at that scorecard to see what other players were in there involved in it. Lendl Simmons was one of the West Indies players. And on the other team, the Pakistan team, Zulkarnain Haider.
Yeah.
Wicket keeper is probably more infamous than famous for his cricket ability.
Zahor Khan, who continues. Will the UAE be thinking they're on top here? 7 overs in, 43 for 2.
Yeah, judging by the score, but they probably appreciate that these two batsmen are danger men, so I don't think they'll be sitting on their hands. Although Zohar wouldn't have a problem with that.
I think he could stand upright on them. If he's not been nicknamed Mr. Tickle already by the UAE team, he needs to be. Taylor on strike. Very well bowled again from Zahor Khan.
He's bowled well, hasn't he, so far? Keeping the pressure on.
You would imagine this would be Zahor's final over. Keep 2 back for him and 1 for Naveed for the death, or would they go with a spinner?
3 in the last. Yeah, they'd have to keep that much, wouldn't they, you'd think.
Bowled again. Appeal from Zahor, but that might be a better appeal. Neither are given.
First impression heading down the leg side, you'd say?
Yes, I think so.
With the angle.
It was certainly not wholehearted an appeal. Zahor goes short this time. Xavier Marshall looking back as if might fancy a little extra there. Nothing doing from the umpire. Let's say 1 for the over. Again, seeing Zahor mix it up.
Yeah, so and that was a very quick bouncer. Just goes to show he can move up and down the speed gun.
You didn't see that from him yesterday. It was primarily slower ball bouncers, and he had great effect with them. Oh, Xavier Marshall driving and edging safely though. And they get through for 2. Umpire having a look to see if it went for 4, and it has. He's given 4. It's a fine honesty policy thing from third man there.
Guessing. Haven't got a great view from
we
here.
Don't. we are obscured by a side screen at that end of the pitch, so we have to take their word for it as well. But it's 4. USA edge up to 49 for 2. Still 134 to win. 1 ball left in this 8th over. Good fielding in there to keep it to 1. Brings up the 50 for the USA. 8 overs in. Xavier Marshall 9 not out and Stephen Taylor 5 not out. Both yet to get up and running, but very much know that both are capable of pushing this score along pretty much at their will. Ahmed Raza will continue from this end. Who do you think will come on at the other end for the UAE if Zahor most likely knocks it on the head after 2 overs there for his spell?
Perhaps have to give Mustafa a try, Rohan Mustafa. He'll be up for the fight, I'd have thought. Always a real good competitor no matter what's happening. So USA are requiring 11s and over at the moment. They'll be needing to target someone.
Xavier Marshall does target Ahmed Raza, who drops short and is pulled over square leg to that short boundary for 6. Dismissive shot there from Xavier Marshall, Paul.
Got what it deserved, to be fair.
Absolutely. You don't see that very often from Ahmed Raza.
No, you really
either.
don't. Very reliable. I think you said about Rohan.
She drags it short again. Mix up.
Long end with a throw.
Oh, should have gone to the bowler's end. Xavier Marshall might have been in trouble. Instead, Stephen Taylor scampers through. Someone like Ahmed Raza doesn't tend to drag too many balls halfway down the track.
3 and 2 overs. I think you made a point that Rohan Mustafa looked a bit scratchy on his return to the team yesterday. Obviously, it's the same with Ahmed returning to the team today. And he's showing very uncharacteristic rust. He's usually one of the most reliable bowlers going around anywhere in associate cricket, not just UAE cricket.
Yeah, you're normally guaranteed. Stephen Taylor goes big this time. Over mid-wicket. It'll be a 1 bounce 4. It's clipped off his legs. Roma Mustafa's in front of us at long on. Can't get round to it.
crisp, wasn't it? About you, what you said about him yesterday, timing, all timing. That was a lovely shot.
Not a huge backlift. He doesn't seem to go all the way through the ball. Just times it very well and trusts his timing.
Against the wind as well. That was, I think, it might have been a 6 on a normal day.
Just to get back to Ahmed Raza, you're normally guaranteed he'll bowl his overs and go at 3s, 4s or 5s.
Certainly in 50 over cricket.
In ODI cricket, definitely.
He'd be a 2 for 35, 2 for 40 man. Every innings you could rely on that. Even in T20 as well. He's very thrifty. Remember at the Asia Cup when UAE played against in Bangladesh in I think it was 2016. Again down the leg side. He went. I think pretty sure he went for 3 matches against the Test playing nations in 2020 cricket without conceding a boundary, let alone a 6.
Taylor dabs it into mid-wicket for a single. You see here, Ahmed gone for 21 so far. Coming to the end of his second over. It does seem like that trio who were suspended for the Nepal series do have a little bit of ring rust.
So it'll be interesting to see how Mustafa bowls now, because he's going to have an important role as well, I think.
Finishes with a single. USA 66 for 2, 9 overs have been bowled. 117 still to win. Just under 11. Just a smidgen over 10.5 required run rate. And it does look like Rohan Mustafa's going straight to the umpire to take his cap off. And will replace Sahul Khan. At that opposite end. Feel like the pendulum could swing at any moment here.
Rushlow as well. Yeah, they still need 10.6 and over. So obviously that last over was a good one for the USA. 10.6 and over is a lot, but only 2 wickets down and a good couple of players at the wicket here. So it's gripping stuff.
Oh, and there's a big appeal. Not given. Appealing for a catch down the leg side. Must have just come off his pad instead.
It's only explanation because it wasn't a wide. It wasn't stumped, which I think they were also going for. Hedge your bets.
Hedge your bets.
Yeah. caught or stumped.
Again, Xavier Marshall going deep in his crease and across his stumps. Opening himself up for an LBW there.
Yeah, got to hit those ones, which he did.
Which he did.
Never in doubt.
Picks up a single. Turns over and says, "What are you worried about?" Goes down the ground. Just a single this time. Brings Stephen Taylor back on to strike. Now Stephen Taylor will be hitting leg side and straight to that shorter boundary. With the wind?
With the wind, yeah.
This could be interesting.
Right, Mustafa will be enjoying this. Likes a battle. Oh.
Tried to catch him off guard. One thing Rohan likes to do is really hustle through his overs. Taylor does go for a big heave to the leg side. That one wasn't quite there. Gets an inside edge to fine leg and gets down the other end for a single. So Paul, I think coming to the end of your little stint with us here for the second innings. Xavier Marshall drives strongly down the ground. It's well fielded at long on. Saving the 4.
Raza by the looks of it again.
Ahmed Raza. Very good piece of fielding. Paul, where do you think this game is headed?
I think it's very nicely poised, Barney. How would I like to call it from here? It's definitely going to be gripped by it all, though.
Paul Radley there, reliably sitting on the fence.
As per.
Thank you very much, Paul, for your time.
Barney, it's been a pleasure, mate. Keep up the good work.
Thank you
very
very
sterling
much.
job, mate.
Here we are, 10 overs to go. Midway point of this USA chase, 72 for 2. Xavier Marshall, 21 not out. Stephen Taylor, 14 not out. The partnership at 35. 111 runs to go. Just over 11 and over. And as Paul Radley said there, very much in the balance here at the ICC Academy in Dubai. The wickets to fall so far. Jaskaran Mohatra for 21. Bowled by Zahor Khan, taken superbly by Ahmed Raza. Manik Patel also just for 8. Stumped very well down the leg side by Abdul Shakur, by Sultan Ahmed, the bowler. And here we are. Peter Della Penna, the ESPN Cricinfo reporter and USA cricketing guru, comes to join us again for this, what proves to be an exciting second half to this decisive T20 International. As the players just grab a little drink before we resume proceedings. Peter, welcome back.
Good to be back, Barney.
Very much in the balance here.
I think it's slightly edging UAE's way at the moment. Required run rate now over 11 with half the innings left. Taylor's taken a lot longer to get started today. First ball yesterday, 6 over mid-on, and he kept on motoring from there. Today he's had a much tougher time getting into rhythm, and he's got to get firing pretty quickly for USA to get back in command. Big LBW shot there from Raza. Looked tight. Taylor loves that sweep, but when you miss, you're always in big trouble because it's an ugly shot for the umpire. Sometimes you'll get given out just on the shot alone, regardless of where you get hit, just because it looks dicey. So he survives there.
Yeah, and Ahmed Raza was confident in his appeal. Xavier Marshall comes on to strike. I was discussing with Paul earlier what you'd said yesterday, Peter, about Xavier Marshall coming in at the top of the order, Manik Patel moving down. That's been switched today. And again, Ahmed Raza goes up. Keeper's movement down the leg side would suggest the ball would be following.
I think it was the right move. Manik, we were discussing yesterday, USA's best opener, best batsman, period. 4 centuries in all cricket for the last 9 months he's been around the USA setup.
Struck firmly down the ground. It's just a single.
And even though it didn't come off for him today, he's the guy you want facing the most overs, whether it's 50 over cricket, 20 over cricket. You want your best batsman facing the most number of deliveries, especially in T20s. And putting him back in the opening slot today, I think, was the right move, even though it didn't necessarily come off for him. Stumped down the leg side, which is a bit surprising because he's also USA's best player at spin bowling. So for that to have happened, he looks confident using his feet, and that's what did him in today. But Marshall coming in at 4, I think, is a better move for him and the team.
And he's looked far more comfortable so far compared to his brief innings yesterday.
Well, when you are asked to open in place of a guy who's got those 4 centuries in the last 9 months,
USA pushing for 2 here. Great running. The 2 UAE fielders in the deep can't get round in time. I feel like one of them should have been coming to the ball a lot quicker there. The end of the 11th over. As you were saying, it places a bit more pressure on Xavier Marshall stepping into the breach.
Absolutely. Regardless of the fact that he played Test cricket, you have to keep in mind that Test cricket career was 10 years ago. So he's quite a long way removed from the height of his career. And coming in, asking him, regardless of that pedigree, to put out the similar kind of production that Manik does at the top of the order, you're putting him under heavy pressure, unnecessary pressure, you could argue. And he's just looked a bit more relaxed. Those kind of shots, driving down the ground, good running, coming back for the second.
Very good running from the USA. Again, the UAE don't look fleet of foot on the boundary's edge at the moment. Very good running from the USA. Said it yesterday on commentary as well. They look to rotate the strike and really push the fielders hard, running between the wickets. A very important trait in this level of cricket. But any level of cricket for that matter.
Stephen Taylor has been especially impressive with that, and that's something he's worked very, very hard to improve on. When he was a bit younger in his career, he wasn't the fittest guy in the world, and he struggled turning those ones into twos. Whereas in this two-match series, he looks much sharper between the wickets. When he became captain in 2016 for that brief tenure that he had, he took that responsibility seriously, and leading into his first series as captain, he lost about 15 pounds just through working a lot harder on his fitness. And he's improved his fielding because of it. He's much quicker to the ball, cutting off singles in the ring. And you also see it when he's running between the wickets, especially in conditions like this, which the U.S. guys coming out of winter, they're not used to.
Yeah, contrasted with yesterday, it's been some sapping heat this afternoon. Good over from Rohan Mustafa there. Just goes for 6. He's gone for 12 off his 2 overs so far. Paul Radley saying before he'd be really up for the fight in this, and he has been so far. USA 82 for 2 after 12. Still 101 to score for the USA to win. 8 overs to go. Rohan Mustafa going at 6 and over so far from his first 2.
UAE will take that. You've got the required run rate now creeping up towards 13. Even though he's not taking wickets, that scoreboard pressure is starting to build on USA. It'll be interesting to see if they start to crack. He had that big LBW shot in the last over with Taylor on Raza. And he's the kind of bowler who can create those opportunities.
As Taylor goes down the wicket. Picks the fielder out though, just a single. Oh, is that a chance? Very sharp if it was.
Looked like it to me. Got a hand to it, and when you consider the catch he took earlier on the boundary and the fact that he's arguably UAE's finest fielder, even on a very, very difficult one like that, you almost expect him to hold on to it.
Xavier Marshall dancing down the track, hitting it very firmly back to Ahmed Raza on his weaker right-hand side. Did well to stop it in the end, but as Peter says, one of the UAE's best fielders. Taylor goes over the top. It's wide from Raza. Taylor keeps low and just eases it over point.
It's one of Stephen Taylor's favorite scoring zones, that backward point region. You don't want to give him width there, whether it's full or short. He loves to get onto that back foot and carve anything between point and short third man. Wasn't totally in control of that shot, but got enough underneath it to clear the fielder.
Absolutely, and it's a wide down the leg side. And Taylor using the depth of his crease really well there. Staying back deep in it, seeing that extra bit of width and just lifting it over point. Here using his feet now. They'll be pushing for 2 again. And they get home pretty comfortably in the end. It's Rami Shahzad out there.
Well, as both of these batting innings for USA have unfolded over the 2 days, they've done very well to identify the weak arms on the boundary in short time for the UAE, and that's contributed to a lot of these twos.
As Taylor goes, this time big towards that same mid-wicket region. And Ahmed Shahzad is a chance. Rami Shahzad caught underneath it. And he's bounced inside the rope and gone for 4.
That was ugly.
There's
no way around that one. Going for the big boundary on the eastern side, you've got plenty of room. You got to recognize that as the fielder. He's also hitting into the wind. We've got a very stiff breeze that's developed across the ground in the last 20 minutes. Ball was going to hang up in the air. He had a lot more time and a lot more room than I think he knew that he had, and what should have been a simple chance, he never even got a hand to it.
No, and he didn't get close in the end. And as you said, considering the last 20 minutes or so where the breeze has caught up here, we've seen a few balls get stuck in that wind. You'd have thought that would be at the back of the UAE fielders' minds, but Rami Shahzad, such a safe pair of hands normally, got caught underneath that one. And it's Stephen Taylor as well. A man you probably do not want to give many chances to, Peter. Moves to 30 not out. This partnership worth 58 now between Xavier Marshall and Stephen Taylor.
Well, Stephen Taylor is USA's leading scorer all time in T20 cricket. Came into today with 1,335 runs in 41 innings. 8 50-plus scores in his career, including 2 centuries among those 41 innings. So he's a devastating force in the lineup for USA. He's got actually more than twice as many runs as the next closest player in USA's T20 history. So he's absolutely the last guy you want to be giving a second life to.
An interesting change here from the UAE. Zahul Khan will come back into the attack. He has 2 overs left. Naveed only has 1 over left. So there's only, after this, there'll be only 2 overs of seam left in the UAE ranks. Obviously, they're thinking they need to change things up. Roma Stafford bowled superbly from that far end. Maybe holding him back towards the death. And that's pulled into the leg side. Just be 1 this time. And I must say, Peter, you've got your laptop in front of you. This is your USA Cricket Database, maintained by yourself, developed by yourself.
When you're covering USA Cricket and there are long gaps in between fixtures, you got an awful lot of time on your hands. And this is one of the things I filled it up with, because associate cricket stats can be a bit hard to find regardless of the website you're trying to access. So one summer, about 3 years ago, I sat down for about 3 or 4 weeks, went through all the scorecards in USA's history going back to 1975 and 50 World Cup qualifying. And I keep it in my safe at home, hoarding over it. And on occasions like this, I open it up for the world to share.
Well, thank you for sharing it. As you said, I mean, to trawl through those scorecards can, and even just to get your hands on them, can't have been an easy feat.
I have to say, record keeping in recent times has gotten a lot better. The ones that are a bit more difficult to find are going back to the 70s and 80s, the further back you go. And in USA's case, all the way back to 1844.
Absolutely. That rich history being continued here with first official T20 Internationals. And as you've discussed earlier, there have been far more T20 games played by the USA. Is this something that frustrates you, that the record books only look at those official internationals?
It's a major pet peeve, not just for myself. I think quite a lot of other people who follow associate cricket.
I think there's a few names that I could reel out as well, yeah.
One thing that the ICC has done recently, which they should be commended for, to solve that issue, was giving everybody T20I status. And it's a subtle thing, but that does wonders for putting everybody on the same playing field statistically. For something as simple as tracking guys, knowing how they measure up year on year, regardless of the standard of competition they're playing against, it's just good to have that to draw on, knowing when they've played, going how far back. And USA's first T20s were actually right here in the UAE back in 2010. They came for the T20 World Cup qualifier. As Taylor clips what could be two if they run hard, and they pick off another pair. Very sharp running again by Stephen Taylor.
Brings up the 100 for the USA. 100 for 2. 13.5 overs in. Still needing 83.
Their very first encounter against Scotland. A 6-wicket win. Carl Wright was the hero on the day for the USA. Put together, I believe, a century partnership with Lennox Cush to steamroll Scotland. And then reality hit when they faced Ireland the next day.
And those guys, where are they now?
Carl Wright is, I believe, back in Jamaica. He had a first-class career prior to coming to the USA, and once his USA career wrapped up, as far as I know, he's going back to Jamaica. Lennox Cush is an interesting character. He was a member of the Stanford Superstars team that took on England.
The infamous Stanford series.
He was well regarded in terms of his T20 cricket coming out of Guyana, and he married an American, qualified on residency, and then got a U.S. passport through marriage, and had a fairly distinguished career for the USA. Struck a 55-ball century against Italy in World Cricket League Division 4 in 2010. And he was also a member of Guyana's Champions League squad when the Champions League T20 was a thing. He was the first USA player to get a crack at that kind of thing, even before Ali Khan. And now he goes back and forth between New York and Guyana. He does a party rentals business.
Oh, wow.
Interesting careers that some of the USA players have. Lennox Cush foremost among them. That's what keeps him busy.
Sultan Ahmed back into the attack. Xavier Marshall just heaves him into the leg side. Just be one. Sultan 12. 1 wicket for 12 runs from now 2.1 overs. You're looking to put the squeeze on the US here. I feel like the UAE could do with a wicket. These two could be dangerous if they're in there for the last 5 overs. Taylor sweeps, doesn't get all of it, but he beats the fielder at short fine leg and it's 4. It's an under edge. He's sweeping and sweeping hard.
Well, he got that live 2 overs ago deep mid wicket when Ramiz Shahzad ran circles around the ball. And it could be a catalyst for him to get going here. He was striking it under a run of ball leading into that 13th over. And now he's 37 off 33 balls. He had about twice as many runs off the same number of deliveries yesterday.
He sweeps again. This time the fielder will cut it off. It's Rami Shahzad again. Gets it back in time. Just to keep it to a single. Stephen Taylor's someone who's had a taste of franchise cricket in the Caribbean Premier League. You see him going to more leagues?
I think a couple years ago when he first broke in with the Barbados Tridents, he looked like he was a player on the rise, and then he's kind of stagnated over the last couple years. He's shuffled around to Guyana Amazon Warriors, played 2 matches for them, and then got pretty harshly dropped. Didn't play again for the rest of the season. This past year, with Jamaica Tallawahs, got a handful of opportunities, didn't really do much. He's somebody who's got an abundance of talent, and it's just a matter of maintaining that focus, and when he gets an opportunity, making the most of it. Ali Khan has grabbed his opportunities with both hands, and everybody's seen where he's gone. Stephen Taylor is arguably a much more naturally talented player and has gotten a lot more opportunities than Ali Khan and a lot of other players. Just hasn't made the most of them. And you hope he can turn that around. Time's still on his side. He's only 25.
Only 25, yeah.
Which is remarkable, considering the fact that he's been playing for USA now since 2010. So he's one of the most experienced players in this team. He's played the most T20 matches out of anybody in USA history, 42 matches as USA, 109 for 2 after 15 overs. He's got loads of experience, loads of talent, loads of incredible physical gifts. It's just a matter of breaking through that wall mentally. I think sometimes when you have those expectations so early on in your career, it can overwhelm some players from time to time. And when he first had a breakout year in 2013, he was 21 years old, struck the first 2 T20 centuries for USA against Cayman Islands and Bermuda and Florida, and then he had an extremely memorable innings against Nepal and Bermuda, 162 off 101 balls in World Cricket League Division 3. And if you think about where Nepal is now, striking 162 against that kind of bowling attack, you know the kind of talent Stephen Taylor has.
Absolutely. And Xavier Marshall caught at deep mid-wicket. Going again to that big, long boundary, with the wind fighting against it. Xavier Marshall can only find the fielder. Departs for 31.
Again, hitting into that wind, hitting onto that long boundary, you're always going to run the risk of the ball hanging in the air at this stage of the day, and that's what it did. He almost got too much elevation, which allowed the ball to sit in the wind, and it turned into a fairly simple catch out on the boundary.
It did in the end. And Roma Mustafa back into the attack. Has a wicket of his first ball. USA 109 for 3 now.
Mustafa making his comeback this series. As the teams were taking the field yesterday, I was trying to get some photos of the USA guys taking the field for their maiden T20, and Rohan Mustafa looks over at me and says, "Hey, there's 3 of us making a comeback. Why don't we get our photo taken?" Gave a wink and a smile. He's a very cheeky character, Rohan Mustafa.
It sounds very much like Rohan, that, yep. Brings Roy Silver to the crease. Silva yesterday had a fantastic cameo, smashing 25 off 7 balls, 1-4 and 3 consecutive sixes off the UAE captain Mohammed Naveed. Might need him to replicate that again today if the USA are going to chase this total down.
They've got to be clever about it. They've got 2 overs, the 17th and the 19th, where Roy Silva is going to be swinging with the wind. That's going to be blowing towards that short boundary, which is where he hit those 3 consecutive sixes off Naveed yesterday. So if USA is going to do their damage to close down what is turning into a very challenging target at this point in time, they're going to have to seize the opportunity in those 17th and 19th overs.
I got a short break here where looks like the return from the fielder struck Roy Silva on the back. Didn't quite catch that, do you, Peter?
Cut him in the upper back shoulder. That's one way to cut down your opposition.
Absolutely.
We saw what you did yesterday, Mr. Silva. You're not going to hit 3 sixes off 3 balls like you did yesterday. Just get a crafty return into the infield.
He's ended up wearing one at the non-striker's end. And now Taylor targeting that small boundary. Instead he goes over the longer one. Over extra cover, but fielder out there cuts it off.
It's smart bowling though. From this end, you got to go wide. You've got the protection out there, not just with the field setting, but also with the wind. Anything on the legs to Taylor from this side is going to be punished. So good bowling there from Rohan Mustafa. Taylor is somebody who likes that width, we said earlier, but in this situation, bowling it wide from that end with the protection and with the wind, not going to have as much damage.
Absolutely. It's now turning into a tale of 2 ends. The left-hander on strike from here. Can go leg side with the wind to the short boundary. The right-hander will have to go over the offside. Bowlers and batsmen have to be a bit clever where this wind has picked up.
Again, the 17th and the 19th is where USA's got to attack. If they can get 20 runs each off of those, that means you need to get 30 off the other 2 overs. Can they get 30 hitting against the wind? I think that's going to be quite a challenge. Especially when Rohan Mustafa's getting in the block hole there, not allowing Roy Silva to free the arms.
He's bowled superbly here, Roma Mustafa. Gone for 18 off his 3 overs and picked up a wicket as well. As Paul Radley had said on comms earlier on, really a player who's up for the fight. He's showing that here today. And Peter Della Penna leaves us now. Thank you, Peter. And for the final 4 overs, we were hoping for someone else, but Paul Radley comes back in.
Well, who was the other person? I'll happily give up my seat for them. Who's coming back?
Sultan Ahmed will continue. Oh, Roy Silva sweeping and just over the short fine leg's head. Goes for 4. As mentioned, they'll be targeting that short boundary on the leg side. Paul, what have we got now? 3.5 overs to go, 23 balls, 64 to win. Are you giving the USA a chance here? Do you think it's...
It'd be spectacular if they win it from here.
Absolutely, it's... take a big over here to get them back into contention, I think. That'll help. Unfortunately, it's sort of dwindled towards the end of proceedings here.
But you said that Silver smacked it yesterday.
He did indeed. 25 off 7.
Amir Hayat just sat perfectly in our view.
Oh, he's gone now though. Sweeping straight to short fine leg this time. Sultan Ahmed picks up the wicket. There'll be no Roy Silver cameo today. He'll go for 7. It's 120 for 4 now, the USA. And they still need 63 from 22 balls. This game slowly moving from their grasp. Hayden Walsh Jr. will be the next man out there for the USA. Have you been impressed by the UAE where they've come back with the ball here?
Yeah, they've shown what they do when they play well. This is how they form. They're happy defending. Just wasn't surprised they batted first today. They're happy defending a total and constricting the runs with the. Obviously, we had our doubts about the makeup of their bowling attack, but this when they're on song, this is what they do. The spinners really choke the batting line. I think they've done that really well. Even though for a lot of the time they had obviously Taylor and Xavier Marshall at the wicket, a couple of dangerous batsmen, but they didn't get away from them at any point. Obviously Taylor's still there, still could do, but yeah, it's just probably a real commendation actually of UAE's game plan. It's quite tried and tested, really.
Yeah, and Hayden Walsh looked good briefly yesterday. Came in right at the death. You'll see lots of sweeps and scoops. He comes in now needing to pretty much go from ball 1, or at least get Stephen Taylor on strike like he does there. Taylor this time goes big, very big. It's a monster of a 6 over that big boundary that we've said. Where the wind's against the wind, but it's gone miles back. That's the Stephen Taylor that we saw yesterday. It's a big hit, that, Paul.
Ramesh has jumped over the fence and is running off to go and get the ball. Who thought somebody could have got it? Goes to show how far it went, actually. That's an amazing hit against that breeze. It's not even a breeze, it's a gale. Perhaps not a gale.
A superb strike. And as long as Stephen Taylor's there hitting balls like that, the USA will still believe they can chase this down.
Yeah, it shows that they can hit sixes both sides of the wicket, because it felt for a while that nothing was going to go over the ropes on that side. They need a good few more of those though.
They will. Stephen Taylor moves on to 47 not out.
They've retrieved the ball finally.
Sultan Ahmed, what have you got? What's your reply to this? Some shot that from Stephen Taylor. He goes to sweep this time. It's an appeal for leg before, but umpire not interested at all.
Looked like it went off the back of the bat to me.
It does indeed. No leg byes given.
Sultan Ahmed not impressed.
Taylor this time goes over the offside. There's a fielder there and holds on, we believe. Can't see past this sight screen, but from the reactions and the trudging of Taylor back to the pavilion, he goes for 49.
Shaiman Anwar out there by the looks of things, chucking it back in.
You wonder if that's the USA's chances gone with Stephen Taylor. Again, he's hit the ball very well there. Not got enough behind it with that wind behind him as well. And carries to the fielder. And it's worth noting at this time, this live stream has been provided by CricClubs, strategic partners of USA Cricket. CricClubs is a global force in providing cloud-based league management solutions, boasts over 2 million users worldwide, and is used by more than 13 national governing bodies of cricket. CricClubs also developed a live video broadcast and overlay technology widely used around the world and seen in action on these streams the past 2 days. To find out more, visit www.cricclubs.com. And at the end of the 17th over, 129 for 5, the USA. 54 to win. 3 overs left. 5 wickets in hand. Roma Stafford continues. As you said earlier, Rowan's really been up for the fight here. He's bowled very well.
Good death bowler. Bowls a lot of Yorkers, which you obviously wouldn't credit an off spinner necessarily with doing, but that's his main.
Hayden Walsh-Jr. just finds the gap over Naveed's head. Scampers back for 2. Sorry, Paul, you were saying?
No, sorry, I was just saying about Rohan Mustafa's method is interesting one. He doesn't bowl like off spinner trying to turn it away from the batsman. He bowls a lot of Yorkers, tries to hit that crease line every ball.
Hayden Walsh again, not getting that, getting hold of it. And the new man, possibly one of my new favourite cricketers, Elmore Hutchinson. He'd look even bigger stood next to me, wouldn't he, Paul?
He would. He would tower over you, Barnes.
If it's possible for a 6'6" man to look even bigger, I could provide some scale. He'll face Rohan Mustafa for his first ball. He has a big old swipe. He come back for 2 leg byes. So we near the end here, Paul. What would the UAE be taking away from this particularly from this series?
Well, most of all, they'd be taking a bit of reassurance, I'd have thought, from the fact that they've not suddenly turned into a poor team overnight, having faced a couple of ignominious results in the recent past. Just probably reinforcements that what they do is generally a good way of going about things. Obviously, they had a bit of a fright and they were shown up a little bit by Nepal in the last series. Lost a couple of qualifying tournaments last year in the Emerging Teams Asia Cup and the Asia Cup qualifier, which might have rocked them really. So they needed this performance. They needed this what will be a series win, not just a single match. Just a bit of reassurance really that they're still on the right path. And they've been tested. USA
absolutely
shown up very well, I think.
Yeah, USA now 135 for 5. Need an unlikely 48 off the final 2 balls. Mohammad Naveed will come back to bowl his final over of his spell. Naveed going for 21 so far from his first 3 overs. Pick of the bowlers in there. Zahor Khan 1 for 15 from 3. Rohan Mustafa 1 for 22. from his 4 overs.
Great return for Rohan.
At a highly pressurised time in the game as well. Let's look at the USA scorecard. Malhotra went first, 21. So Manik Patel first with 8. Stephen Taylor, 49. Xavier Marshall, 31. And Roy Silver, last man out. Elmore Hutchinson having a big pull to leg. Top edges it, but gets 4. Only strengthening my newfound love for him with a big top edge for 4. This time goes leg side towards that shorter boundary. And finds 4 again. Back-to-back 4s.
The game's still on, Barney.
Isn't it just? If Elmore Hutchinson goes and wins it now, I might be on the pitch. And for the US, they'd be taking a lot from these 2 days, you'd imagine.
Well, yeah, probably victory is obviously what they wanted, and it's all well and good taking positives from defeats, but it's not patronising, but I do think they've...
So Hutchinson goes again, and it's 4 more. 3 4s in a row.
We've been calling this a defeat, Barney. I think we've gone a bit early.
Absolutely. 36 required now. From 9 balls, and if they go 4 a ball like Elmore Hutchinson is here, they'll win it. Some fine hitting here. Fat Lady has not sung yet, Paul.
Interesting. Mustafa now is in, and he's pointing, he's guiding the fielders, he's patting Naveed on the back, he's placing the field. This is interesting. Captain lost the armband, giving it up to Naveed, who's the bowler. When the pressure is looking like it's coming back on the UAE, it's Rohan Mustafa who's calling the shots. That's interesting.
Hutchinson goes again to the leg side. The fielder coming round. He won't get there. Come back for 2. Elmore Hutchinson doing his level best to take the UAE home here. USA, sorry. Eight balls remaining. 34 required. And Hutchinson strong down the ground.
Not happy he didn't get all of it.
He's not, no. In all fairness, it was probably in the arc to strike through the line. It's 150 up for the USA. It brings Hayden Walsh back on to strike. Walsh going for that scoop.
Oh, filled it.
Oh, nearly run out. Scoop shot that he played so well yesterday. And with 1 over to go, the USA 151 for 5, 32 required. We'll have Zahor Khan to bowl the final over. some last-minute tinkering to the field from the UAE. Sending a man out to the boundary, then bringing him back up. Sending another one out. So here we go, 32 to win. Zayu Khan. Struck down the ground by Hayden Walsh. But that won't be enough. And now, bar a no ball or some wides, that'll be it. But you never know.
Sorry, my maths is awful. Is it not 5 sixes to tie?
It would be 5 sixes to tie.
Super over.
Super over, wow.
Big ask.
Elmore Hutchinson, it's in your court.
And he's your man, isn't he?
But he hits it straight to long on. Brings an end to Elmore Hutchinson's brief cameo of 16 not out. Is that Ahmed Raza again at long on?
It is. Always in the action area. They've got 3 guys out. Best fielders in the team on that boundary.
Zayu Khan picks up his 2nd wicket of the day. Got 2 for 16 so far. It's after 3.2 overs. It's been very impressive for the UAE, Zayu.
Yep, needed to be. Couldn't have had one of the seamers go missing today because they're so low on the ground in terms of seam bowling options. I think the UAE very happy with this performance, will we, Barney?
I think they will be, yeah. It's been an enthralling game of cricket. It's been up and down throughout the day. Both teams have taken the initiative and then lost the initiative. They've both been in command at different points in the day. And it's been a fascinating game to watch unfold. It's only been the last sort of few overs where the UAE really reined the US in a bit. That middle to late period of the game. It's Aaron Jones who comes to the crease for the US. Plays first-class cricket for Barbados. Very highly rated batsman. Three balls to go. 30 required. And just another single. The UAE seeing this game out very well in these final couple of overs. Those three back-to-back fours from Elmore Hutchinson gave the USA a brief glimmer of hope. But that's fading now. Paul, how your assessment of this game today?
From a UAE perspective, they'll be delighted. Delighted to be back on the horse with a win. Just goes to show how important the three returning players are. They've come back in seamlessly and shown their worth. They'd be very happy.
Fine shot. Hayden Walsh, saying yesterday, is very inventive. Played a reverse sweep. Just helping it round the corner. It's a fine looking shot, that. And for the US, Paul?
Nobody wants a loss, and they probably don't want to be patronised with being told they've shown up well either, because they haven't got the job done. But I think there's a lot of promise in this team just from what I've seen over the course of today. And you said they showed up very well yesterday as well, so don't want to patronise them, but I think they've looked good.
And the USA innings ends with a dot ball. And the UAE claim the win in this second T20 International and the T20 International series. The USA in a historic first T20 Internationals ends in defeat this series. UAE win by 24 runs. Two highly competitive games. Unfortunately, yesterday's was washed out due to the rain. And the UAE emerged victorious in this series. Hard fought, enthralling game of cricket here today. The UAE just ending up edging out their American counterparts. Handshakes all round as the two teams walk off the pitch here at the ICC Academy in Dubai. Earlier on, the UAE won the toss and elected to bat first. And there were peaks and troughs. It started slowly, but then Shaiman Anwar and Roma Mustafa coming together superbly. Shaiman Anwar 62 off 30 balls, Roma Mustafa 45 off 38. And Hayden Walsh, artful with the ball at the death, quick leg spinners, 21 for 2. Saurabh Netravalkar as well, put the squeeze on in the middle overs, 28 for 2 himself. Timur Patel also 45 for 2 with the ball. And the USA in response needed 183 to win. Couldn't quite do it. Stephen Taylor again the star man with the bat with 49 off of 40 balls. Xavier Marshall also 31 off 26, and Jaskaran Malhotran 21 off 20. But the UAE saw it out in the end. Sultan Ahmed 3 for 33, and Zahar Khan 2 for 22. Roma Mustafa excellent towards the death there, 1 for 22 from his 4 overs. Instead, it brings to the end a fascinating couple of days, and historic ones for USA cricket in particular, with their first official T20 Internationals. Ultimately, unfortunately, ends in defeat here in this decider. UAE winning by 24 runs and claiming the series. Big thank you to everyone that's joined us the last 2 days. It's been thoroughly enjoyable games of cricket. And again, thank you very much for your time and spending your time with us here at the ICC Academy in Dubai.
انزل انزل